Hey everyone, welcome to the UFO Hub live stream. Today's open lines, where I hope to talk to some of you over Telegram and maybe sharing some of your crazy UFO, cryptid, whatever kind of weird stories you might have, especially when it comes to dealing with the metaphysical world. You never know what kind of experiences you end up having. So, sorry about last week, Friday, as I've mentioned in Telegram and also in the community tab. What I tried to reach out to as many people as I could, and it just so happened that everyone kept coming back with busy and can't do that day. And no matter how much I tried, there were some suggestions for me to do this, and it was a good idea. It was only that I had a lot of things going on, and I decided to, I guess, just skip that day. And actually, I've been pretty much nonstop. Well, actually, when I'm not doing my day job and not busy with other family things, investing pretty much any extra time that I have in building like a little generator shed. And I want to make it soundproof so it doesn't run as loud while it's running. And I've had this generator. I've already talked about it a while back. For so many years, I just want to finally install it so we can use it. So yeah, if there's any questions that you guys have, of course, send them through YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook chat. Simply put the three little stars. Also, if you're using Windows, I think it's Shift 8. Or I guess it's also known as asterisk, but I call it a little star. Just three little stars before your question, so that way it just pops out easier in the chat, and it's referring or something to get my attention, basically, instead of you guys just chatting in the chat rooms. So what I want to basically today, I have a little collage of videos set up. It's not anything earth-shattering. Some of you that are hardcore researchers, you probably already know about these. Maybe haven't seen all of them. For those who aren't, this might be something new, but it's not something I often do because my main concentration is on the actual, I guess, for lack of a better word, energy resolve that we all have within us. That these certain, I guess, states of mind create these certain blocks that eventual contact, by it being resolved a lot quicker, and that eventual contact can happen. And it was something through some comments from last week that I guess it just made me want to just touch on this just a little bit. I have a little 4-minute video. It's myself talking from the very first stream that I started, and just to, I guess, to just give you an idea for those that are not following this channel all the time, why it is that I often share some personal stories. Why is that important? And I'll get a little bit into that later as well. But first, let me get this video started. It's just about 4 minutes long, and then I'll switch back to me here. All right, I'm gonna have a lot of switching going on today, but let's see how we can handle this here. All right, let me get this started. I feel that this beginning of this 5-year period is started for all of us, and so depends on which because contact is not just going to happen for the United States. It's not just going to happen for a section of the United States. It's a worldwide event. So of course there's going to be more and more sightings all over the world, and so by them being there and having that presence, it's kind of like letting the people in different areas getting adjusted to that difference in energy. And I know it's such a silly thing to talk about because we always meet people and we never think twice about the different energy exchange. The one example that I know is sometimes when people say when they're at a party, they can always notice who comes in and livens the party up and who comes in and kind of dampens the party down. And it's kind of that's like a very simplistic, mild form of that energy that I'm talking about. When it comes to these different interdimensional beings that have a physicality to them in their dimension, when they have to interact with us, that energy change affects us greatly, because it's almost like our minds are designed on a certain frequency to just perceive this physical world. Well, when we basically are in this contact, it starts to almost open up, like a, for lack of a better word, like a sixth sense about yourself. It's almost like a fish realizing that there's water around you. Before, you took it for granted, never gave it even a second thought, but all of a sudden you notice you're in water, that there is such a thing as water. And it's a similar thing that happens with you, with your consciousness, is that you're starting to realize we are part of the one. We're all part of everything, and everything's part of us. And I know, again, this is such a new age concept, but I don't know how else to put it. It's I'm not into too much of the mushy story, but it's basically what happens. So during this period, I feel like we're in the beginning to where all these different ships being all around the planet and these different sightings is just kind of like them approaching with their energy to slowly, surely kind of get us slowly adjusted. Because what I was going through, it was very intense during that period. I cannot imagine the entire planet losing their freaking mind. It would just create too much chaos. And so by different areas around the planet, different people adjusting at different time, there would be that 5-year period, maybe from now till 2025, to finally adjust enough to it to where now we can take the next step. But also during the 5-year period, there's a lot of energy, as you've noticed, that has to be resolved. Contact doesn't just necessarily mean us meeting aliens or aliens meeting us. It's what we got going on governmentally, what we have going on with, especially in the US, with the different factions now. You have the left and the right, and trying to work out politically, what we feel like needs to be worked out, to where it has split friends and family. And so all of that needs to be worked out. That is a form of energy that needs some kind of resolution. And I hope that it can still be worked out without, everything going just absolutely nuts. But then after that period, so from 20 to 2020, from 2020 to 2025, that within then that period from 2025 to 2035, we can finally have that contact in the way that everyone wants contact to happen. Because by that time we would... Okay. So the reason why I wanted to show you this is basically it's something that from the very beginning of at least me starting these live streams that I've been talking about. And I hope I've emphasized enough the importance of this resolving of these different energies. But it seems like some people that are watching this channel, they don't quite understand, why it is that I share sometimes, seemingly mundane, everyday things, and how I dealt with it and what happened, how it was resolved for me, because I'm drawing this back to, again, resolving energies within, so that you have one less block in the way of if and when your time comes to then eventually be interacting with a higher being or being that is very different than ourselves. You're not going to be bringing up all these fears. You're not going to be bringing up all this junk, so to say, and it getting in your way and blocking certain things. And so for those who've been into this UFO field for a while and then move on past the nuts and bolts, that this is a very spiritual aspect, that contact is very spiritual in nature. And so I understand that not everyone is going to agree with this, but for those that are possibly new to this, that are new to this channel, I want to give this explanation that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Yes, I can tell some stories. Yes, I have guests on that they tell their own stories. Of course, most of you, such as on days like this, where you call in and share your stories. And they're always great stories to be listening, and it's great entertainment. But at the end of the day, it's important to listen beyond the words to understand. It's like, oh, they resolved this. Maybe I can incorporate that in my life. Oh, they had this fear. Now they don't. Maybe this could help me out. So I'm always hoping and encouraging people that to start looking at it in that way, because the web is inundated with nuts and bolts stuff. You can find it everywhere. You can watch Joe's channels. Obviously, while we're still free, you can search that online, find the different people, and just read up on all the government documents, as much as your heart desires. But again, you will not be any closer to contact than what you were when you first started, and that's just my opinion. And if you honestly and truthfully take this approach or go down this path, you will see that for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. So anyway, I wanted to basically just let you know that what is going on in this world right now, what we're going through is very much important and goes very much hand in hand with contact. So if you have, see me covering these certain things that maybe the whole show we might go through and might not even cover anything UFO related, that at least you don't understand it as UFO related. Just know that whatever I and the guests that I have on, and of course everyone else that calls in, what we're trying to do is just to help everyone listening and this big cog web of humans on the planet to help the vibrations raise just a tiny bit higher. I don't usually, I know it throws some people off to use words like vibrations and dimensions and higher this, lower that, but as a very logical person, or at least I consider myself to be, when I had my own experiences, that is the only thing that I could then understand, and the words to use were vibrations, were to say different vibrations, vibrational levels. Now, then I understood what everyone else was talking about, whereas before I looked at them as if they had like a third eye on their forehead or something like that, and so anyway, for those that are new, I hope you take the time to just look past and look deeper into the conversation that's being had, instead of immediately judging it, saying, why is this guy sharing his life story with me? This has nothing to do with UFOs, and then, graciously letting me know that you're unsubscribing. Of course, you're free to do whatever you need to, but you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't at least stop and listen past your own judgment. Because I hope that most people that follow this channel, that come here to listen, that they understand that that's what I'm trying to do, and that's what the guests and the listeners and callers trying to do, is to share as much as they can, so that if and when your time comes, you'll have some kind of reference, some kind of library of your own, to at least say, I remember this phone call, I remember this guest, I can revert to their experiences, this happened to them, and maybe then apply it into your own life. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that and put that out there. I don't want to take too much more time regarding this subject. But in slight relation to what I'm talking about, because everything is about a deeper understanding, overcoming things, I'm going to have a guest on, and his name is John Nolan. Let me switch over here. And I think it's Christy or Christine Nolan is his wife, and I believe they run this together. We'll find out more on Friday. But I came across his channel not that long ago, and I was listening to some of the videos that he had, because it was done in this very beautiful way, where it just has like, well, here, let me show you. Which one was that? There was one particular one. Like, he does it in this style. I just want to show you real quick.
I remember stepping out into 100 or 200 people 10 years ago. There was a sense of urgency, but nothing like now. And people still had time. We don't have this possibility anymore. We don't have that time anymore. It's a good thing, actually, because now it's finally time to create the big shifts, on the outside as well.
So anyway, I didn't want to go too much into it. It's a great video. Check it out. The channel is called Inspired, and so I wanted to have him on because of the way he presents this material, and the way it comes with an inspiring message, and not just an inspiring message, but a message that you can use to act on, instead of just listen to it and having information making you feel good. It at least gives you little tidbits of how you can, from your own point of view, as who you are, move forward in life and do something about whatever it is that's challenging you. A lot of us have the same challenge in life recently, and maybe later on in the show I might get into it, maybe some other time, but I'm feeling, not from a fearful point of view, but I'm feeling that things are not going to go back to how they were anymore. And there was hope back in March when I first did this. It was still uncertain. And so, of course, all my views and judgments from that point of view were very hopeful. Now, that doesn't mean that we're all going to spiral down. It just means that this change, however you viewed the world before, we're not going to see it the same way. And maybe because of this mindset, when I happened to just be online, and then this pops out, and I found someone else who could see and understand and verbalize what I was understanding at that time. Of course, I reached out, and he graciously agreed. We still have to hash out some details, but so far I have him confirmed for Friday at 7 p.m. So anyway, check that out. And so let me first get into, just wanted to see who's in the chat and say hello. See if we have anyone on. Yes, we do. We have some people on Telegram as well. So what I want to do first is just say hi to Hazel. Welcome. Crypto Mojito, welcome as well. Nick, welcome. Fab22, welcome. We have Star Brother, welcome as well. And on here we have Crypto Mojito as well on Telegram, Jim Jams. So I will, if you're listening, if you're listening on Telegram, that's fine. If you have some, if you actually want to share your story, make sure to tap that little button that looks like a little person raising the hands that tells me you want to chat, and I'll add you to my queue. Jim Jams, your music is loud as fuck. Well, I'm sorry. I turned it down on a normal level, so maybe you should turn down your speakers. Nathan also just logged in, so welcome, Nathan. So let me, what I was thinking about doing, I made a video and I put them all together because it makes it difficult for me to switch through things. So what I did is I made a video to where it just runs, and I made some little footnotes to just give you a little commentary at least of during what date and what time this video was taken. And that's roughly about 10 minutes long. And after that, of course, then we'll see who else is ready to chat, and then we'll open up to open lines and listen to some of your stories, and we'll go however long I can go, or however many people we actually have that are wanting to talk and are logged in. All right, let me get things ready here on my end. Okay, I'm gonna remove myself. So this video was actually submitted by Crypto Kitty in Telegram. I asked if I may use this. I didn't get an answer, so I figured I'll ask for forgiveness later. But at least I included the link, and I did a little bit of enhancement. On the left, you'll see the original video. It was, I believe, Crypto Kitty said that she took it herself, and so this was on June 14, 2021. And so I just took the video, enhanced it, basically zoomed in, tried to sharpen it up a little bit without looking too distorted. And it was difficult to tell whether or not this is just an airplane flying through very low, but at least it's, it's a UFO indeed, an unidentified flying object. So I guess if you do some research, maybe looking to see if there's some kind of flight path for airplanes during that time, that date, that would help. This video apparently was taken in the 90s, and it's been kind of making its rounds, but this was supposed to be shot obviously from airplane over the Philippines somewhere. And so I don't know what to think about this, especially in the 90s. If this is CGI done by somebody privately at home, that's some pretty damn good skills. But again, all I can do really is just show to you. This one was shot over Nova Lima, Brazil, 31st of May of 2020. Of course, there's some smart Alex saying that this is somebody's birthday balloons released, but it's very interesting and weird in the way it moves. This one I think most of you have seen, and this is actually, I forgot which one of the telescopes is staring or looking at the sun all the time, but you can see this half sphere apparently sucking up some energy from the sun, and then shoo, disappearing and leaving a little wake behind. So it's actually pretty, it can be pretty creepy staring at it, considering the size of this and what's happening. It's amazing. But you can see it's SDO AIA 171 from NASA. So and on that date, I don't know if that's 12, if that's March 9th or if it's September 3rd. I believe they might go to, according to European style of dating. So this one is actually a combination of different videos. As I said earlier, Barbary Castle, August 7th, 99, was filmed by, I believe, Donald Fletcher, or at least the copyright owner of this. And it's just the same object flying around. Here's the second shot in 2001, but then it says filmed by Andrew Buckley. And it's basically just filming this object flying at high speeds, whatever it is. I don't know that drones, at least publicly, were available. I don't know if that's a military helicopter going after it or what. But I figured just wanted to go through and show some of these videos that I always found interesting, and as always, you guys make up your own minds. I wish if I the only thing that I can definitely say, if I were to record some of my own footage, then I would be willing to go out on a limb and say this is real, this is what happened. But if I'm always observing someone else's videos, I can't definitely and conclusively make that statement with anything, really. But it's very interesting to say the least. So this next one coming up, I've read many things out there, and people, of course, want to debunk it. And this was also CGI. This was supposed to be in Scotland, filmed in 1996, but I don't know. I'm not too sure. But I didn't want to exclude it. I want to leave it here because it has a lot of characteristics of orbs that I've personally seen, and the only thing that is new is really whether or not the crop circles are truly created in that manner. And I have it looping for you guys a few times, so I hope you don't mind. So the next video after this, I guess I'll wait till it gets there. It's amazing. If this is truly how it happens, it's truly amazing for it to just literally imprint it like a stamp from the sky. So this one, you also see printed there, is Washington, D.C., July 12th, 1952. And this was that, I believe it was also featured in the Blueprint project, the show, or just Blueprint, I think. I'm drawing a blank. I think it was called Blueprint. Maybe somebody in comments can correct me. But yeah, this was something that was happening, I believe, throughout a few days. And this was what was recorded on this date. Now, of course, it's going slow enough that you could say they could have had powered aircraft with bright lights on and all of that. But considering the freak out and how people reacted during that time to this and close encounters, I think that this would be something more than just airplanes. This one is from, excuse me, Jerusalem, 2011, and Project Blue Book. Yes, that was what I was going for, not Blueprint. So anyway, this one was shot in Jerusalem in 2011, and I actually originally saw this being reported on Coast to Coast at that time. Well, what I didn't see is it's dark right now, and I don't know if you can see this, but there's then apparently goes up to a craft that is pretty much a triangle with a light in the middle, and then obviously moving around. But I always seen it come down and shoot up, but I've never seen this part to it. So I wanted to have this also in this um, collection to show it to you. So this one is it's from NASA STS-51A in 1984, and I believe they were either trying to capture or fix something on this satellite. And I've watched this thing over and over again, and you see it coming down, and it was very intriguing because obviously it looks like it's just materializing and going off to your right. Now, there's speculation that this could also be a water droplet, and but again, because I wasn't there, most of us weren't there. I just don't know. But I slowed it down here again to see how it's coming down into view, seemingly materializing, and then off to the right. And if it is a water droplet, then it definitely caused a lot of stir here on the planet. But if it's not, it's amazing to have that on film. Now this is NASA STS-75 and from 1996, and this was supposed to be a long tether satellite system that broke off. You can find this online where they trying to extend it, and then you see it breaking off, and it's this 12-mile long rod just hanging in the air. And as they zoomed into it, they kept seeing all these different size, donut size with these little edges, things floating around it and behind it. And some of them you'll see they're pulsating, but out of all the videos that has come through, this one from NASA is one of my most intriguing and favorite ones. This one right here, you'll see one flying right behind it on the very tip of it, right there, and it goes behind it. So this was speculated based on that was a 12-mile long tether, that was a 2-mile circular object. That's huge if that is the case. But you'll see different sizes, very similar to each other, floating around. Some big, some small. It could be maybe because of distance. It could also be because they are different in shape and size. But this one is one of my favorites so far because it's from NASA, and you can tell they're trying to not follow them, because then it would mean that they're recognizing it as an actual, object to be noticed. So they just kind of try to stick to that, to the tether, and not make a big deal out of it. If you listen to their original recording, you'll hear it. Okay, let me see here. Okay, so I wanted to basically show you that, and it's not something I do very often because you'll spend a whole lifetime just watching and entertaining yourself with these videos. They're exciting, they're cool to watch, but then that's it. That literally is it. It leaves you with nothing, no personal experience gained, and other than just being something cool and exciting temporarily, it, as fast as it came into your awareness, it leaves, and you in conversation can always just reference back to videos and all these other things, but it doesn't help you anymore. It doesn't take that next step to help you understanding what contact is. And so anyway, that's why I don't necessarily cover these very much, but I guess for the live stream purpose, for live stream's sake, for different people's level of understanding, I might on occasion just find different things that people might send me and put a collage together like I did today, and then show you different stuff out there. Now again, a lot of these that you've seen today, except for a few of them, they are recent. They're already old news. Most people know about them. If you didn't and this was exciting to you, great. But at least at least there's at least I'm covering that aspect of it for some of you that need it. So let's see here. Who else we got? Okay. Steve Peebley, also welcome. And let's see. Who do we have? Need to close out some of my software. All right, we got quite a few that are also just listening on Telegram. If you would like to talk to me, you know what to do. If not, that's cool. Just listen and enjoy. Let's see, who do we have in chat? Bringing in the chat. Smoking Joe said Falcon 9 launched 4 civilians into space, was successful 23 minutes ago. Well, that's cool. I hope that brings us a bit closer to space travel for everyone else. Let's see if they can reduce the tickets down to a couple $100 instead of several $1,000s. Yeah, crop circles too. There's some researchers that are crop circle researchers, and I can have one particular one that that covers them in great deal is Barbara Lamb, and so I could potentially reach out to her if there's some other crop circle researchers that you think would be a great guest and has some great information. Make sure to go to ufohub.net, and all the way on the bottom you'll see a little contact tab, and just write to me. Give me their please give me actual contact info, because some people say, hey, have so and so on. That's great. Sometimes I'm not sure if I'm actually looking up the right person. Perfect example, just today. And I at least try to always have the guest's contact information every single time underneath all the videos, so that any one of you can then continue on research, or at least to contact them and tell your own story, or for whatever the reason. I find it prudent to have that. Very few say, please, no contact info, and so I respect their wishes. But so I wanted to talk to one of some of the kids that in Zimbabwe that had that experience with the UFO landing and conveying these different messages to them. I must have watched maybe 10 different videos, and everything was about that channel and moving on forward, but there was no contact for any of these people. And then finally, after getting sick and tired of searching on the web, through the search engine and on YouTube, I happened to come across a telephone interview with one of these kids, and they're grown adults now, but they had their contact info, and I was like, thank you. It would have saved me all this time. But so anyway, that's why I'm asking if you have some suggestions. Please give me a website, a number, or a Facebook page, Instagram, something where I can then send them a message and reach out to them in that way. Okay, I had Steve Peebley. He was on there just for a little bit, and then he disappeared. So Steve, if you're watching, if you log back into Telegram, I'll bring you in, because I think I'm pretty much finished making my points. I'm just gonna look around and see what else you guys got going on in the chat. Seems like it's always lively. Yes, Top Brother says, but I think some researchers say the Earth makes them. I don't think so. Yeah, I've heard a few guests on Coast and other places talk about how through the Earth's magnetic field that they have a certain, I guess, have certain patterns and certain areas where these energies cross, they're more more powerful in that area. So of course, then that they would have the ability to mold and bend, I guess, the crop or whatever it happens to be into the different shapes. So I don't know. I personally don't know. I still, it's a possibility, like with everything, but I think I'm leaning more towards more of a metaphysical, other being type formations are made by them. Crypto Mojito's asking, what's another way to describe the subtle realm? Crypto, can you define what you exactly mean with subtle realm? Marius, welcome as well. The subtle realm is a way active compared to getting picked up and stuck in the rear. Oh, sorry, it took me a second. God, I'm having my moments today. Well, I mean, if you mean by subtle realm, there's always these different levels of realities. You know, something too. You might have heard me talk about this. Those that haven't, I swear, I'll make it quick. Between an older person and a younger person, a child and an adult, let's say a 5 and 50-year-old, those are different realities too. I know we always like to think of it all as one, but we're literally in our own different dimensions to where we can look down and understand what this lower dimension is doing and where how the information is coming about and what they're trying to do or say in our way, but they can't understand us, obviously, because of obvious reasons. But it's also that state of mind is a reality and a dimension as well. We always only think of dimensions like something entirely different, feeling weird, not of this earth, and that's the only way we'll judge different dimensions. But mindsets, different people approaching and perceiving different things, based on my own experiences and what I've learned, are also these different dimensions. Not vastly different, but different dimensions they are. Fab says, so yes, please, for Crop Circle's guest. Like I said, the only one I know of is Barbara Lamb. If you have someone else that's active and in talking, meaning public about it, please let me know and I'll reach out to him. So Steven keeps going in and out of Telegram. He's raised his hand now. We'll see if I can bring him in. Steven, you are unmuted on my end. Unmute yourself in yours, and you should be able to talk to me.
Hey, how's it going?
Just fine. How are you?
I'm all right. I was going in and out of service there for a minute. So if I drop off, I'm sorry, but I shouldn't. I should be good. So,
I hope
missed
not.
a little bit there. Yeah, me too. I missed a little bit there. I don't know what you guys were talking about. The reason I raised my hand, you were talking about that NASA footage with the big 2 mile wide circle things.
Yes.
And back when that came out, oh gosh, it's been forever, a long time ago. I was at a friend of mine's house, and she
Steven, just real quick, can you just be a little bit closer to your mic if possible?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Is it not picking up well?
You are. You're better now. You're better now.
Oh, I may have covered it or something. Okay. Yeah. So I was at a friend's house, and she had a younger son that was actually trying to get into channeling, believe it or not, because he'd had these experiences where he had spontaneously gone into it, and he didn't know how to get there. So they asked me if I would talk to him, and I just like very, very lightly went into like a regression type um, of thing, just got him to calm down, close his eyes and everything. And very quickly he started channeling, just plain as day. And so this video had just come out when this happened. And so I asked him, well, what was going on with that? What were these big, 2 mile wide entity looking things? And he didn't say what they were made of, but he said, oh, they're like space bacteria, and you can only see them under, I think he said, ultraviolet light, and that they're everywhere in space, and that they are like sentient beings, but they're the equivalent to what we would consider something like bacteria. And he said, interesting thing about them, if you were to run a ship through them and break them up, that they would break into many pieces that were all the same. In other words, they would hold their shape. If you broke them in two pieces, they would just become smaller versions, and they would instantly take on that round shape that you saw there. And so they were kind of like an amoeba in that way. So
that's interesting.
I was gonna say, it's the only thing I've ever heard about it. I've researched that piece, a little bit, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody say anything about it. And that was interesting that he, this guy was talking very definitively, like he completely understood it. But he also said that it wasn't all that interesting. It's just that NASA, the reason you don't see them in more of the footage is they've got filters that they've since learned how to filter all that out, so that footage was unfiltered because that was a tether that was supposed to be something like it was gathering energy, and it got too hot and broke off. And so they desperately needed that footage, and that's basically how it got out. But years later, they put filters on the camera to where you couldn't see that. So
What
he
amazes
was
me
saying
that
that.
he had space for 12-mile long, uh, how I wonder how thick that was actually. I mean, thick enough for cameras to pick up, and to have 12 miles of this on a rocket shooting up. That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if it was rigid or if it was like something they unrolled, or I think it was something that was not made of. So I don't know if I don't remember all the details perfectly, but I do remember that this was a test to try to get energy, electricity from space, and that they got way more than they thought they were going to, and that's why it actually detached, as it basically burned up. So, but yeah, and then they were trying to retrieve it or figure out what was going on, and then they picked up all this footage. So
Do you
yeah,
know were they able
it's
to
interesting.
retrieve it, or is it still kind of hanging around, or eventually going to re-enter the atmosphere?
I don't think they did, if I remember. Somebody I can't see the chat where I am, but if somebody in the chat knows, feel free to say, because at the time I would have told you every detail, but I can't remember all that much about it. But what the point I was trying to make, though, about this is that I think you would see a lot of things in space if you went up there with a camera, especially a camera that could see infrared or ultraviolet. You'd see a lot of things. So the cameras we have today, their lenses actually naturally pick up infrared and ultraviolet. We put filters on them. Like the camera in your phone or any kind of camera you have, they have filters built into them to block those rays. So otherwise you would get some funny looking pictures. But yeah, if you took a raw camera up there without those filters, you'd probably see a lot of stuff, things that were moving intelligently and whatnot. So
Well, just the sheer amount we can pick up with night vision goggles from Earth is amazing enough. If you have less
yeah,
obstructions in
yeah.
space, I'm sure it would be amazing.
Yeah, I live in an area where there's not a lot of light pollution. And I mean, when you can see, every star in the sky, I mean, you wouldn't believe how much stuff. there's a lot of things. I can't say that they're truly UFOs or whatever, but there's a lot of things you see in the sky that certainly aren't airplanes or satellites. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on up there. You know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what's been going on with you? How are things?
Oh, all is well. All is well. I don't know if she'd want me to say it, but I've talked to Sherry recently, and she's doing well, and so that's really all, all I've got. If you want to talk about something, bring it. I know you were looking for content a minute ago. It's the reason I raised my hand. So
Right.
if you got a topic you want to talk about, I'm happy to talk with you.
No, it's just this is what it's all about. Just basically chit chatting with different people and listen to their stories. This is what this day's for. So, but yeah, no, it's been a while since I talked to Sherry as well. I'm glad she's doing all right because she's been making improvements month after month. So I'm glad she's getting better.
Yeah, I hope to hear good news from her every time I hear her voice. And friend, in my opinion, she's stronger every day, at least mentally, if not physically.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no, it's you know, I mean, watching anyone having to suffer and go through pains and constant, things, it wears you down. I'm so glad she has the strength to just keep on hanging on and keep on moving.
yeah, it brings up an interesting topic. I mean, a lot of people think that this whole this comes from there's like people that have a lot of beliefs about, well, you shouldn't have any suffering, or if you have any awakening, you're going to see through all that or whatever. But it's just not true. There's tons and tons of examples of people that whether they had an amazing experience, or they woke up, or they saw things, or whatever happened to them, it doesn't necessarily make your life easier. And in fact, you might even take on something that's quite a challenge, So
Right.
that's one thing I can say for my own self, and I've seen in a lot of other people is don't ever discount anybody because they got sick, or because they had something happen to them. I mean, people take on incredible, difficult journeys, especially people that are able to handle it. And there's probably nobody tougher than Sherry Wild. So.
Right. Especially with what she's been through. So Stephen, I wanted to ask you something. So I don't usually get them very often, but just recently, I just kept getting that image of the "They Live" scene pop into my head, especially when I call this my meditative state. So when I'm working on stuff or building things, you just kind of, you let the body do what it needs to do, but then these images or things just come to you, to I don't know, just I guess I call that the meditative state, and I kept seeing that movie when he first realizes with those glasses that all along, there have been these different beings here that they are not like us, but they act like us. They mimic human emotions. They do a really good job. Basically fitting in, and it's one of these things to where I guess it was something in correlation with what I was trying to search some answers based on some things that I saw, I guess on the alternative media side of the web, and it made me, I was kind of questioning about all these different things because some of the things are coming out pretty disturbing regarding us as human beings and our freedoms and the things that are being encroached on every day. And not only that, now they're, coming right out calling us enemies of the state. You know what I mean? And so,
Yes.
so then I was thinking about that. It's like, wow, what a ballsy move to call a very, very large population of the planet your enemy. It's like you were elected by all of us, and it's like, and now you act like you're to dictators. But anyway, so I was searching for an answer, like, okay, what's going on there? And I kept just, when I was in that meditative state, kept seeing that movie, and I kind of drew my conclusions from that. But I was wanting to ask you, do you have any thoughts or any ideas regarding, how far this is going to go? Because I mean, Australia is pretty much can't, can't call it country now; it's a prison, and a lot of things are more and more controlled. Do you have any thoughts or anything that you might have recently received?
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's a big long topic, and I'll try not to make it out too big. But
We got time.
no, well, anyway, this was
Well, no, it's
spontaneous,
important.
by
It's
the way.
I mean, yeah, I know it's about UFOs, but what did you say?
I said this was a spontaneous call-in.
Oh,
So I
well,
wasn't.
if you
In
don't
other
have
words,
the time, then I understand. But don't
no,
feel
I'm
don't
just
shorten
messing with you.
yourself
We're
for my
good.
sake.
No, we're fine. I would just, I would just want you to know, like, I had nothing prepared whatsoever. I just thought, oh yeah, I guess I'll check in.
I
So,
figured
but
that's why I'm
anyway,
just asking.
yeah, we're good. No, this is an important topic, and everybody here ought to hear some of this. And it's for the people that get me on track if I get way off. But for the people that if you've just woken up or just realized this is going on, this is a hard pill to swallow. I mean, seeing what's going on in Australia, and anytime your country goes into any form of war or anything like that, I mean, it is a really difficult thing, and that forces people to see things that they didn't want to see before. And what I'm seeing in the world is that so many people, for better or worse, I think it'll be ultimately better that people have seen more than they used to. But I think for the short term, you're going to see some people that feel really out of control. And so that's what I'm seeing, is that a lot of people, that's how they're responding to it. Is, there are people out there that are happy that it's getting out and open. The vast majority of people feel very out of control, and so they're projecting some of that onto other people. And but the bottom line is, well, how long is this going to last and whatnot? It's really up to humanity and to what we don't know exactly what the button is that you have to push before the majority of people will push back. Well, they've got a lot of options of what they can do. The question is, how far will we go before something like that happens? And there's time is never a good way to measure things. I mean, in other words, I can't tell you if it's going to be 2 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it is, but I suspect it's going to go on for a while. But what we need to see is some form of people being absolutely sick of it at any level, and responding to it in any way they can. And we're already seeing that now. You're seeing people going to school boards and things like that. And
Oh, especially when children
and
are
that
involved. I keep asking my son,
yes,
but
yes.
thankfully where we live, it's like we know most of those people, and this would not be going on. If this was happening, you probably would have seen me on the news or on TV somewhere.
Well, when all this happened, this round of it, as bad as it looks, uh, it hit people differently than it ever has. But the truth is that this has been going on forever. This is not a new thing. I mean, it is a new variety, but if you can compare it to so much that has gone on in the past, it's just when they did it in the past, they didn't get caught. And now people are saying, wait a minute, what's going on here? This has got to change. Now, you know, my perspective on the whole thing as a whole is that we will come out of this and life will get better, because the trend is that everybody is starting to see what's going on. And so, we can look at the world and see that every single day, more and more people are learning more and more information, and we're working towards that direction. So there has to be some turning point, no matter how you look at it. Now, when exactly that is, like I said, I don't know. But and what exactly is going to happen between here and there, I don't know. I think what you're going to see is there are certain places selected, such as Australia, that are going to take on higher levels of difficulty, and that's all to show the world. I mean, God bless Australia, because it's really to show the world, is this what you want to come here? Do you
But
want
have
to
you
let it get to
noticed
that point?
when they push it in Australia and England, it's exactly where they outlawed and confiscated weapons. It's all happening on those places.
Of
Everywhere.
course, of
The United
course.
States is like, well, but what I don't get is like you were elected, and who in the world would elect you to then say, okay, I'm taking all your freedoms away, Constitution, nah, never mind about that, just throw it out to the side, and it's like no one in the right mind would do that. But then I look around and some people, they're so in so much fear to where you go like, are you serious? You are truly giving up freedom for this little piece of security about some bullshit, that was literally made up by them. And you're basically fearing,
Yeah,
because you're hanging on to every word that they say. And this is one thing too, it's like, I wonder at what point people like us have seen through this, and then at what point will the others do the same, to where they finally stop and go, hold on a minute, like what they're saying is not, it's not making any sense anymore. Because I find it so difficult because I'm so disconnected from them to still be sitting there going like, yes, Mr. President, Mr. President, okay, oh wow, okay, if you say so, so be it. It's I've been so far removed from that to where every time I hear them speak, I was just like, all right, let's see what kind of bullshit I'm gonna be hearing today, and it truly is that way, and it
yeah.
just gets to a point. It's like, are there really people out there that just go, literally following CNN and MSNBC and all these different places? Because I thought you would see it, you laugh at it, and you switch away the channel. But apparently, some switch to it and then get tuned in. And I'm like, wow, there must be still some out there.
Hmm. I can explain some of this. There's so if you probably noticed that you don't run across very many people that say they believe in the media. I mean, I know where I live. I bet I couldn't find a person if I went up and interviewed every person I saw in my little community. I bet I couldn't find anybody that would tell you that the media is accurate. However, they still, even though they will openly tell you it's wrong, it's crazy, they're lying, we know they're lying. I mean, people just openly admit this. But here's what I've found is that you're, whether you personally or your family lineage or whatever, your biology has gotten truth in a certain way for a very, very long time. I mean, comparatively speaking, we're for the last at least 70 years, you've either listened to radio or television, and you've listened to somebody tell you the truth, speaking with a certain cadence in a certain way. And I'm talking about the talking heads on in news media. And so when these people talk, it's like even though you may know they're lying, it triggers. This is really what I found. It triggers some kind of internal thing in a lot of people to where they'll tell you they don't believe it, but then you watch their actions, and they run around terrified of whatever they're being told to be terrified of. So it's a little bit of a in other words, social media doesn't represent it very well, because you'll see thousands of people that say that they're completely against it, but yet then
But
again
yet
you
they
go out
log
in the
in.
world and yes, and so I think it's just that some people, they're not quite to the point where they have let go of that, and there's probably a lot of reasons for that. I mean, some people, I know there's a big thing of virtue signaling in the world. In other words, there are people that do not believe that things like safety, all these safety measures are necessary. But then again, they will do all of them because they feel like they're a good person. And who's telling them they're a good person? Well, it's not the regular people. It's clearly coming from the media. So you know, there's people that are jacked in that way, and then there's people that are absolutely terrified, where they're just like, what if they're right? What if they're right? But you know, they talk to their family. They're not gonna come out and say, oh yeah, I listened to CNN this morning, it was scary. You know,
Right.
they won't admit it anymore, but they're like closet listeners. You know. So
Well, I mean, I can't expect everyone to really just kind of cut it off, all the different news outlets or whatever. Because my wife and I, we often, like the other day, she's still kind of on Facebook, but she has Facebook and to literally just watch comedy stuff. She has like all these different memes to just kind of like entertainment as you're sitting there. You can just kind of scroll through, watch something funny, and kind of letting it be it. And a lot of them is just, just whether it would be political memes or memes of the happenings that happened during the day. And so I already canceled my personal account, and I've been debating whether or not I should just cancel also the UFO Hub Facebook account and Instagram and all these different platforms, because in all the years that I've had it, I never found any benefit to it. Facebook would always just shadow ban, but then act like, oh, we're not doing anything. You're just not promoting yourself better. It's like, how many more times I have to be posting, and all these things, doing according to how they say you should be doing them, but then the results don't come. The results, but then, you can't exactly expect them to give you a truthful answer. The problem is too that so many people have now gotten to the social media to where they feel like that is their only platform now to get in touch with somebody else, and then they feel like if they lose it, it's like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. And it's just like, pardon my French, I just, look at them and I'm like, write a letter, motherfucker. It's like people have communicated prior to Facebook and other places, for centuries. It's like, because when I got off Facebook, I said, those of you that have my phone number and my email, you can, always, get in touch with me there. You already know where I live, and I just left it at that. And just very few out of these hundreds and hundreds of friends that I had, few of them are just a core group that I'm still in touch with, and the other ones I don't miss because we weren't connected anyway. It was a Facebook, something to be had. We would all bitch at each other, on Facebook. Everyone would let out their opinion and frustration and get pissed off about it for weeks on end about something Bob, John Doe so and so said, and but then it was like a totally not relevant to your life in essence. You just realized you don't agree with this person, but then it affected your day, your mood, and the rest of your life in that day, just because of this one person who you're really not that close of friends with anyway, and really shouldn't have that kind of sway in your life to begin with. And so anyway, so I think a lot of people is just not bought into that is the only way. It's like, look, if people, when the war broke out in Bosnia and we fled and we all still found people just over freaking phones and playing phone tag and being in certain times, if we can all find each other across the entire planet, trust me, we can all find each other again and communicate without Facebook or Instagram or any of the other social media. Just private phone numbers, direct email addresses.
yeah, absolutely. I think social media, for better or worse, is going to be here in some form or another from now on. But I think it's going to evolve into a whole lot of smaller Facebooks and things like that. Because right now, people, for whatever reason, even if Facebook is caught, stealing your data in some dishonest or inappropriate way, or whoever it is, Twitter, one of those, regardless of what goes on, people don't move. And part of the reason they don't move is because there's not that many of them that have the level of intelligence that things like Facebook has. So people love Facebook they can scroll through the little video clips, and they're on the fly, they're feeding you what you watch, so you can just roll through there and the thing's smart enough to say, oh, okay, you just watched a cooking app or you just watched a cooking show. Let me give you 6 more cooking shows. And then when you stop clicking off them, it reacts again and says, okay, now you're going this way or whatever. And so it is very much like a electronic drug. And so a lot
Right.
of people are there.
It would, it's obviously it is programmed to an extent regarding that, but at the end of the day, you have a person that had made it, to run the way it runs. And even then, to the different, Facebook whistleblowers, they alter it yet again into kind of label, or I should say, what is the word, where they tag certain people with certain mindsets to then kind of stonewall them or not let the information go out as far as it could potentially go out. Because with the algorithm, if it was allowed to function the way that it can function, it can easily get out of their control. It can kind of spread like wildfire, but yet they still put a little cap on it and say, okay, let's not have it go outside of these bubbles. So whoever happened to see what you have to say, they put an end to it, and it can't go beyond a certain point. Facebook does it, YouTube does it, certainly, all these different places, and you would have thought they would want the business. You would have thought they would want somebody to have content out there so that they can attach their advertisers to it and then make more money as a business that way. But literally from mainstream media, what I was saying a bit earlier, it's gotten really like not scary from the I'm going to be sitting in the corner scared to get out outside the house, but scary from the sense of how quickly it happened to where I cannot relate to mainstream media, Facebook, anything out there that is literally it almost feels like communist propaganda channels, to where when you hear them talking, it's all about, it's about these classifications of groups and people that it's a, very, very well, I guess, defined approach to, I guess, if you want to subvert a certain nation. Like I forgot, there was Edward Griffin. He did an interview with this Russian defector back in the 80s, I believe. I forgot his name. I can probably find it. Yes, thank you. That's a guy, and it is spot on of what's going on right now. It just took about 30, 40 years to come through, and the thing is, everyone keeps thinking that communism and all these different control mechanisms stems from a country. Well, it's an idea that's run by a cabal that has no borders. So even though a country might rise and fall under communism, the essence, the communist creed doesn't die. It just continues. It reshapes and forms, and then it infests the next nation. Because a lot of people think communism is only the distribution of wealth and how you handle money and all these other things. Like, you don't understand. When you have a nation that has a centralized power, they go beyond money. They go beyond controlling what is art. They control what you hear, what you see, and that only happens when you realize it when you're already in the cell, sitting back going, oh my God, what just happened? And it's already too late for you. Yeah. So it's like, learn it from those, like Yugoslavia was socialist, they called it the good dictator, that the Tito, and he was, this dictator that was loved by all, and it's such a contradiction in terms, and just the way he ran the country. And the point is, it's like, if you're a dictator of a country, no matter how good you do, no matter how much good you do, it's immediately thwarted by the very title of you being a dictator. If no free elections can be had.
Right. Yeah, I know all that information, what you're saying there, and you're absolutely right. That pattern has been followed so many times, and for anybody that doesn't know why he's talking like this, you can go to Yugoslavia, you can go to Venezuela, Cuba. There's so many countries, and it is the reason they're following this pattern is because it's one that works. and they offer fear until they've got total control. So it's in its most simplified form. It's like all of the authorities are saying, be afraid of this, and here's a solution. And if you just continue to follow the solutions, the final solution is total control and power. And now today, with our electronic devices and whatnot, they have so many more options than they used to have. And that's basically, if you go far enough, you end up in Australia,
Hmm.
which is really where it's, that's where the height of it is there. I talked to an Australian a few days ago, and somebody said, this was me and a couple of guys, and they said, well, I can't believe Australia hasn't boogalooed yet. That's the word he used, like they haven't
Right, right.
gone after the militias. And the guy said, the Australian said, they took our guns, mate. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
you know, I said,
Yeah.
man, if you ever needed to see a very clear picture of why we need guns, it's not so much because we're going to go take on the government. It's because the confidence that it gives the everyday average person that we are somewhat of a army, in ourselves. I mean, for people that don't are in countries where you don't have guns, you got to realize how this works in real life. I've had this conversation many times. It's good to know.
Well, it takes a
If you
while to
live,
live in the United States to understand they
yeah,
always call it like, oh, America, the gun culture. It's like, it's not a gun culture. It's a
it's not a,
right as a free human being to defend yourself in any way possible, against your government if
yes,
you have to, but they're like, no, no,
it's
no, you can't, they don't dare speak up against their government.
yeah, it's a mutual understanding is what it really is. So if you walk into a neighborhood and you have the desire that you're going to steal, somebody's, you're going to walk into somebody's house, you're going to steal something or whatever. If you do this in America, there's like a 96% chance, that somebody in range of you will be armed. There's a good chance of it, right? And so you don't really have that. I mean, it's not that people don't get robbed from time to time, but I'm saying there are huge, large spaces in America where you can leave your doors unlocked. I can do that where I live. I can leave my front door open for 2 weeks. Nobody would walk in, and it's just because everybody understands. Well, it's the fact that they don't know who's armed and they don't know who's crazy enough to shoot back. So anybody that has any wild ideas of hijacking somebody with a pistol or something like that, it's not even, they wouldn't dream of it. Now, if they took away the guns wouldn't go away. It would be the lawful people that had them. They would give the people that are they're what you would call good people, they would give their guns up, and then the criminals would have guns for the next 50 to 100 years at least. And they would be the ones that were basically in control of all of these. Like this little community I live in now, it's only a few hundred people, and I can't imagine if only 6 people had guns here. Well, they would run everything, because the police are just not that strong. I mean, not strong enough. The whole community protects everybody, and that's the culture that you really have. As far as people getting shot, there are there are places where it happens, such as Chicago, but the average place around the United States has almost no gun crime, or I mean, if you do, it's very little.
Did you hear the latest that the mayor wants to now sue the gangs? I don't know if you
For one,
got to. Just want to sue the
oh,
gangs for.
they're, I haven't seen that, but they're always trying to take from one another. I mean, I got really deep in all this in 2020, when COVID came out, because I lost my job due to COVID actually, and I got another one. But I mean, it made a major impact on my life. So I went to really looking deep into this. Let me tell you, every single faction of that dark army out there, they're just trying to rip each other off and to just consolidate the assets to whatever extent they can. And they want all the land, they want all the money, they want all the power. It's not complicated. you know that's how
Right.
it works. So,
Yeah, there's
and if they go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's a oh goodness, I can't find it here. I'm looking through this real quick. I want to see if I can find. There's a quote by a gentleman that he's a really smart dude, and there's a quote he specifically states regarding lawful law-abiding citizens. That's really profound quote, and I want to find it. I don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, there's something along the lines. I'm probably going to butcher, but he says every time any of these laws get passed,
Yeah.
or anything, when it comes to when it comes to the law-abiding citizens, they're always the first ones taxed and the last ones to be considered. And it was
Right.
like, wow,
Right.
that's exactly what it is. It's like, yeah, they come to us for the taxes, but then screw you when it comes to any of these other programs or any of the other stuff that they eventually going to use those taxes
Yeah.
on. But just in general though, I'm wondering like how news about, let's say, UFOs would be under communism. Can you have shows and talk about UFOs and government contacts, when the government is anal as fuck trying to control all the pieces of information, and here you are ragging on them about what they know or don't know. It's like I would assume that, especially a communist government would be, the least accepting of that.
I think modern day communism would be a lot about keeping people distracted and entertained, because they love Hollywood. They love all of the cat videos on YouTube. They anything that can keep the people from not gaining any meaningful information. And as long as the UFO information stayed in that realm where, hey, look, there's, lights in the night sky, I don't think anybody would care. As a matter of fact, they might even appreciate it, because then it would get people, to stop thinking about the government and all that. But at the same time, if people recognized, oh my gosh, what's powering them, or, there's clearly higher technology, uh, then they might try to hide it. I mean, if they do try to stop it, it's for two reasons, in my opinion. One is they don't want you to realize that that human beings can have any link to anything ET. You know, they don't mind you watching the twinkling lights in the sky, but they don't want you to have that, and they don't want anybody to believe that there's any technology beyond what they have already. So, I mean, communism is just going to be, if we ever see it anywhere full blown, I think it's just going to be like trying to keep everybody more or less calm while they do whatever it is they want to do, which will look like nothing but safety mandates for anybody that wants to know. It's going to be that until the end, and it doesn't matter if it's medical or they could come up with anything. They could say the Russians are invading or something like that. Get completely ridiculous. But for the people that'll believe them, be like the 1950s where a nuke was coming and they tell people to get underneath their desks, like that was going to do a damn thing. So that's how people will respond, unfortunately. But I thought of something a while ago when you were talking about the social media and whatnot. One thing the guys did tell me, I was looking at it too much at one time because I didn't have a job for a little while there, and I was just more or less bored for large portions of the day. And I should have been building a platform or something, but instead I spent too much time looking at this, and the guys basically told me it was mind control. I don't know if everybody here knows who I am, but I'm an engineer that has a lot of esoteric experiences, and I have a group of beings I call the guys that are not physical beings I've been in contact with for about half of my life anyway. So anyway, they will tell me things from time to time, and that's one thing they said, that thing has been engineered to mind control you. They even pointed at it like they tried to relate it to like the MK Ultra stuff, which I know is old conspiracy stuff, but it happened. That stuff really did happen.
There's some
So
weird documentaries out there of people that put together these weird happenings that celebrities do, to where it seems like they're just fine. And this is what I was kind of alluding to earlier. They're just like going along, mimicking human emotions, and then just kind of like shut down. Like something happened, the programming,
Yes.
glitched, and they just like, and it's weird. I mean, it's I've never seen it, I guess, like in that context before. Somebody took the time to actually put all those different videos together. I mean, we're talking about Lady Gaga, Eminem, all these ones where you just go like, what in the world? Either you're a really, really weird human being, or there's seriously something wrong with you mentally. And so it's so weird
Yeah.
to see that. And so it makes you really, even if you're doubting that MK Ultra was ever reality at one point, and or that it's still going on, you look at that, and a lot of doubt gets erased. Just real quick, I just want to say to Argo Tanza, I know we talked on Telegram before. I don't know why you can't find it again, but in the description below this video, there's a Telegram link. You should be able to find the UFO Hub Telegram. I don't know why you're having difficulties now, but for anyone else out there, if you want to speak to me like I'm talking to Steven right now, just join the voice chat that we're in, and we should be able to talk to me. I'm sorry, Steven. Please go ahead.
Oh yeah, that no, you're good. That video that you were talking about, or that set of videos where it shows the people like Bill Clinton and all them, where they just kind of go blank stare or whatever they do, or they drift off. I mean, I think what that is, and I don't have any, esoteric knowledge of this necessarily, but I mean, to me, the way that hits me is that I think a lot of these celebrities and public figures and whatnot probably do go through uh, forms of hypnotic training, because if you can get somebody's subconscious mind, you can implant whatever you want. And it won't necessarily stick, at least not on the first day, but they have really, if you want to see what they've done, I mean, look at the MK Ultra project, but can you imagine what they've done that you can't see? So they have mastered how to implant subconscious ideas into people, and I'm sure that before somebody's going to go on television and give some kind of message where they're not telling the truth or something like that, well, don't you know that they probably have a handler there, or somebody there that is, whether they actually are hypnotizing them or whatever, they're doing some kind of something to get their mind focused on what they need to be. But yeah, there's all these videos out there showing people where it's like they go into trance and then they come out of it and they start talking like they're like, you turn the human off, like there's a
Yeah,
switch in the
right.
back,
Right.
I mean, so that one of Bill
It's like,
Clinton, I mean, it looked like it just turned him
oh, I'm
off,
back now. Right.
Mhm.
But that I think what it is that even if you had a like the revelation about that, what was that? The CIA, right? That was the MK Ultra. That was their
Yeah,
forte. Well, anyway, everyone assumes that what they learned, what the CIA was capable of, what however many years ago that came out now, that, oh, okay, that's what they can do, and that maybe they made some improvements. It is leaps and bounds between what you learned of and what's going on right now with everything.
sure,
I mean, just look
sure.
at the 20-year span. It's like the world, yes, outside there's still cars and, no flying vehicles yet, and, or at least, the way we always imagine with the Jetsons. But, the world with the internet and the way it has evolved and everything, it's like you would hardly recognize it. Everyone running around with cell phones and computers in their pockets and all of that, and that was just within a 20-year span. It's like, and that's still a slow incremental change in society. Can you imagine being more of a secret group that, gets money however they get it and just pumps all this money and research and effort into this project? I wouldn't be surprised if we, literally had full on engineered MK Ultra people just walking around, like I said, walking and talking, mimicking human emotions, but literally just dead inside.
Yeah, from what I can tell, there is at least a subset of the population that they've done a significant amount of work on, and they might have even got some of these people from children. And it doesn't matter what belief system you're a part of, if it's been told to you since you were a little kid and you've been rewarded. I mean, one of the greatest things that will make people think a certain way is if they're paid to do it. And so they have all the incentive in the world to do what they're doing because it's their livelihood, and some people have gotten very wealthy by this. So I do think there's a subset of people that they have really worked with, but I don't think it's a very large number of people. And one thing that has happened that's in the good. I mean, you can go down this path in a very heavy way. You can look at all this darkness and everything, but I think we should also talk about the good things that's happened here. Is that with the internet, social media, and all this stuff, people have been able to talk, and people have been able to put out their own content. So now places like Hollywood, they don't have the entire corner on every piece of media that goes out into the world. You've got, I mean, as this channel we're on here, I mean, there are millions of people putting things out there, and of course, if they get very famous, maybe they get an offer by somebody that's wanting to use them as an avenue to get a message out. I know that happens. I've seen it happen. But I don't. I think going forward, what we're going to see is that the vast majority of people. I don't know if I'd say the majority, but they'll definitely be a 50-50 split anyway of people that do see that it's very clear these people are not authentic, or they're pushing ideas that don't make sense, or they're, trying to get people into things that are not helpful. You know what I mean? Like, we can see this right now, but I think it's just going to get stronger and stronger as we go. 5 years from now, I don't think you're gonna. I think there'll be a very clear split in the population of people that are completely overtaken by the matrix, I guess you'd say, and then there will be the other people that are like, we realize it's all garbage. So in the last year or two, what I can say, I haven't heard anybody say this, but used to, I saw arguing online continuously. Now you don't see people arguing online in the same way. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I'm saying it used to be, the internet used to be nothing but people arguing. And now it's like everybody has gone to their corners and they've all decided, well, I'm going this way and you're going that way, and they don't argue anymore. I mean, like I say, considering the amount of it that used to be. And if that trend continues, there's going to be a very, very clear split in the
Well,
population
yeah, no, I totally
soon.
agree. Just within the UFO community, there's a vast amount of people that that I've talked to and interviewed before. They just won't answer my messages anymore. For whatever reason. I
Yes.
have no idea what it was. I like to think that we left off things on good terms, but I don't know if it's maybe some other guests I might have covered that they didn't agree with, or something else that maybe was done or said by me. I don't know unless they tell me. I wouldn't know, But it is the case that it's like they just for whatever reason I can't get to them. It's like no, phone call or messages or whatever just goes unanswered. And I said, okay, I get it. I'll wash my hands off of you too and leave it at that. Whatever the deal is, because as a sensible human being, at least I want to know, like, oh, was it something I said? Was it something I done? But I don't want to play those games. I've always been very straightforward with people. If I don't like something, I tell them. If they, if even if I do like something, I tell them. The point is, very rarely if I don't answer somebody, it's because I really fucked up and missed the message. Sometimes I might be really late. I mean, before I started doing this, I was getting back to people after 6 months, writing them saying, I'm sorry, I just now got my shit together in order to get back to you, but eventually I will. And so, but the point is, it's like I wanted to let them know that, one, I got the message, and two, if that message requires answering, some people would just write to me and just send me a whole bunch of stuff and then leave it at that. And I was like, what I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Maybe watch it. I don't know if they need me to respond to them to say, I got it, thanks for sending it to me, or what. But if they don't specifically request some kind of answer or whatever, I just see it. I see what they send and I move on. But most people, I always respond to them and chat with them, because in the message you can sense they want an answer back. You can sense that they're reaching out, and so I reach back.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in a time, I don't think it's you at all. We're in a time of people picking a side. And we've been polarizing for a long time. I think I first noticed it in maybe 2010 or so, that the world was kind of starting to pick these corners. And by that, I don't really mean that people are like you may have people that are well-meaning, and maybe they're in the UFO community or they're in the spiritual community or whatever. But if you knew them personally, you would see that they would slowly be drifting into a very defined way of being. And in a lot of cases, a lot of people have said this. There's people that just drift out of your life, that just don't agree with you anymore. And it's not that you did anything. It's just that the way the world is going, it's pushed everybody to make a choice. The choice really is, are you going to be the authentic person you are, or are you going to be this person that takes on a level of delusion to keep making a living, or to keep being accepted, or are you going to take on some kind of persona so you can be in with a crowd or something like that? And that's what a lot of people are doing. And for the
A
people that are
good thing
more
I've been out of
authentic,
that for decades. I've been out of that since I was 5.
yeah, I mean,
It's like, you don't like me? Good day. See you later, or not.
there's some of us that are built like that, where you just like, it's impossible for you to do that. But I can remember when I was a kid, and I was just kind of like this chameleon type person, because I had no idea who I was and felt weird, and I could just go from group to group, and each group I could just meld into their group, So I remember being like that until I figured out what was going on with me. And I think a lot of people just are still there at a grown up stage. They're 25 to 45 or 50 years old, and they're still doing that. They're still saying, well, the crowd says this, I got to go this way. I mean, I deal with people almost daily that I can just feel it. They've locked on to a variety of collective mind, and the people that have broken free from that, we don't understand it at all. It doesn't make any sense to us. And so,
you, you
we're
know
naturally going to separate.
what's interesting here in the South, I'm noticing it's getting people to become more, not just aware, but for example, like parents and people that are around here, they're more blatant now about things, because before everybody minded their own business, and even to this day they do. And I'm trying to find the right way how to say this. Like, basically, however the feeling of the South was, it was made stronger. And I'm talking about the American
Yes.
way, not the BS what they say South is racist and all this bullshit. I'm talking about Americans, like people feeling more patriotic, people more open to talk to each other and all this other stuff. Because I know just a local hardware store, it's what was that? No, I don't know what we were. You're making a lot of noise, Stephen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for telling me. I'm
That's all
sorry.
right. You're just distracting me because you're coming through loud in my ears. So while I'm trying to speak, it's like, and everyone else is
No, it's
picking it up
okay.
too.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Carry on.
what I was just going to say, it's creating the opposite effect to where, with my own children, I'm even more stringent to when it comes to our oldest son. He yesterday turned 14, and I was talking to him, and everything is about, if you're going to do something, say it and do it. If you're going to promise something, follow up on your promises. If you can't, then speak to that person and explain to your situation. Don't ever be this, like that, or that, so that he understands where his mother and I are coming from. So, for all these things in the world that we're seeing that are going on that are wrong, we're trying to instill that even more in our children, to just stay true and true to the truth as much as possible, to where, we want them to understand, like, these are our values as a family, as your parents, so that if even when the time comes for them to go out in the world, they will go out with those values, and not going to be these lost children that are still looking for their mommy and daddy and trying to figure out what to do and not sure about their future and all this other stuff, because they either didn't have a structured household, or a broken household, or wherever they're coming from. The point is, I, as a parent, am taking advantage of seeing what's going on there. I look over and I said, if I see you going out protesting for some bullshit like this, I will make sure I've shoved my foot up your ass personally, and second, that you don't forget where you come from, and he always, like, jokingly always says, don't worry about that. Well, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to paint, I'm going to color my hair purple and put a nose ring in. I'm like, I'll rip it right out, and, because he understands, where I'm coming from. I said, if you want to go to college, but just know you're going to have to deal with this, whatever this nonsense is that they're having there. I said, find something you love doing first, and then be a asset to society, not somebody that just constantly looks at themselves as a victim, because as a foreigner myself, I always tell them, the story. I said, what you have now is how I didn't have. Will you have your own room and you have your own bathroom, and we getting on to you to cleaning your room and your bathroom. It's like I had to share with 4 other family members, or 3, when I was younger, and then, of course, my neighbors. And so we always instill that to them. It's like how good you have it right now. And it's like, even though I'm glad you'd never have to relive what I've, lived through, but like, it's making me want to be more of that, instilling that in them, because of how I see the world out there. So anyway, long story short, that's how I'm seeing the like Arkansas, Southern Missouri, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, all these states kind of, ramping up more to solidify in who they are.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what I've seen here too. I'm in East Texas, and not far from Arkansas. I can be in the Hot Springs area in about 3 hours, and all of the places between here and there are getting that way. I hear a lot of Oklahoma's that way.
Mm-hmm.
I've been around the United States a little bit, and I'll be honest with you, the vast majority of people I've seen everywhere, all of them seem to be about the same. I mean, I was in Arizona not too long ago, and I mean, everybody has the same idea that they're all locking down into what they really want. The ideas that they really want to hold, they're holding them very tightly, and you're seeing bumper stickers and flags and everything else for
Right.
whatever it is they believe in. And and I don't generally press any particular thing, but I just see that people are used to, they weren't so adamant about this, and now they're very, very strict about it. And I know they're pumping
Right.
this into their kids.
Well, because it feels like there's an encroachment. But Stephen,
Yes.
if I wanted to also get to some other people now, I have Niels and
Yeah.
Argo also come in. If you can hang tight, I don't know how long we'll talk with them. I know you also might have to leave or whatever, but I appreciate you at least talking to me for as long as you did about what you did so far. But I want to give I'm going to go to Niels first, talk to Niels, and then switch over to Argo.
Okay. I may be back later. I've got to drop off for a bit, but thank you so much. And
No,
y'all
Stephen,
have a good
thank
night.
you. I really appreciate it.
All right.
You take care, my friend.
All right. You too.
All right, Niels, you are unmuted on my end. Unmute yourself on yours, and you'll be able to speak to me. Niels Christian, you are unmuted. if you can hear this.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Hello. I just
Yep.
wanted to quickly come in here. Hope everybody's doing well, and I just love the fact that you have this going on. I just wanted to reach out to everybody and just tell them how incredible it all is that you can go within yourself, the depths of your mind into your mind's eye and ascend and stay grounded. And you can, seriously do CE5 if you want. You can literally reach out to the oneness of all creation, and you can reach out to the star people, and star people are here, and they're doing many things here on this planet, and um, it's just so incredible when you truly understand that you're talking earlier there about having integrity, within yourself, and being, one with all creation, and reaching out in love and unity and goodness and understanding and kindness to the stars and the star people, and bring them into your heart. And it's just incredible, just absolutely how just to know how this universe works and how our divine nature can be. It should bring you so much joy and happiness that you're able to connect with God, with all creation. And I just wanted to give that to you tonight.
Thank you, Niels. Niels, I'm sorry I can't remember all the details from a while back when I talked to you, but is this something that generally how you would like to live your life, or was there something else from experience that you're speaking from?
Well, you remember speaking to me. I was raised a Christian, and I always thought there was something more going on with, that's possible as human beings. And fortunately, I've been able to explore the fact that, through meditation and CE5 and doing, good deeds and just being good within yourself
Right.
and open to the possibility of, our consciousness, the power of our higher self, and learning all about the ancients, and just trying to send and really understand what's going on here. And I don't know if you recall, but about 7 years ago, I was um, in this private area, kind of up in the wilderness, and I met the star people. They were like 9 feet tall with very large eyes, and they made time and space stop, and the waves stop on the beach, and it became very magnetic. And my friends were in paralysis, and they wouldn't respond. And so I saw these beings in the distance, and I went up to see who they are. I don't recall, walking to them. I was just right in front of them, and they're in triangular formation. They're about 9 or 8 feet tall, with huge eyeballs, incredible colored eyes, and I look up at them, and I changed my tune the second I looked at them because they were not human. And I said to them, who are you? You can't be here. And I was kind of upset because they froze my friends in paralysis, and the being looked down at me and said, "We can come and go whenever we want.
Mm.
Nothing can stop us." So, so that was confirmation for me that that there's beings here, that all kinds of different species come here and in our universe, and they come here in their light ships, and then they could transform into actual physical ships. And they've been coming here for a very long time, and I think they're helping us tweak and helping us a little bit at a time how to grow ourselves as individuals, our body, our minds, our spirits, all that. How to just start adjusting, and to be the hue in man for human. So divine man, and that's what we have to learn.
Niels, I'm not sure if you caught the beginning of this live stream, but I was talking about earlier that a lot of what we're going through now and what we're working out will depend on contact later. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I wasn't here. But contact. I met those star people that were wearing the black suits, and they had very large eyes, incredible colors within those eyes, and very powerful. And clearly, they're highly advanced, capable beings, way far more advanced than we are. So absolutely, many people are in contact. Dr. Johnny Mack, PhD of Harvard, Pulitzer Prize winner, who assessed the children, 62 children in Africa, about their experience. They were at recess, and the craft came down, and these beings, these short grays, spoke to them telepathically to them, and he devoted his life to that, and are saying that. So I'd like to give, cheers to Dr. Johnny Mack, who's in heaven,
Right.
and yeah, it's absolutely incredible. We are in contact already. This is real, 100%. It's going on. So where do we go from now? What do we do now? You know what I mean? Like where do we go as humanity? Like we all need to understand this, and we all need to step into this, higher dimension or whatever it is. It's just this reality that the star people are here, and where do
But
we go from here? That's
what I
where I am.
was
Like, what do we do
mentioning,
now?
right? What I was specifically going at, for example, all these things we have going on the planet, what is different issues and what we have to resolve as a society, and these governmental issues. What I'm saying is, do you find contact to be dependent on the resolution of that first? Do you know what I'm
Are you
saying?
saying
Basic,
so for the star people to come here, we have to correct ourselves, we
right. For
have
example,
to
like figure
overcome a
out,
lot of
like,
our
okay,
struggles?
right. For example, do we want to have government structure in the way we have it? Where are we going with this, COVID stuff? What are these different societies going to do around the planet during this time? Is there going to be more turmoil and things like that? Do you feel like we have to resolve this first in order for then eventual contact in the way we all hope contact to happen?
Well, you have to define what contact will. I think it's a personal thing for you to, to be in contact with the star people. It's a personal thing. Quite a few of us are doing that. And do you think they're conditionally awaiting for us to correct all our hysterical or actual or non-actual problems with their planet? They're concerned about us for sure. With the in Africa, there were those 62 children. They gave the short grays gave telepathic messages to the children saying we're becoming too technologically advanced. We've disconnected with our spirit. We have to stop harming the planet. We have to stop warring each other. All those things. So they're concerned with us, but does that? They're still coming here. It doesn't matter. That stuff doesn't matter. They're still coming here
Mm.
in very high numbers. That we would be astounded to really know how many people are having interactions with the star people right now, have been for millennia. So it's just the way it is. That's the truth. That's the Most High, and that's it.
Okay.
And we
I
got to
mean, I know
start
I always
maturing
have my points of views, but I always want to ask,
for
others what
sure.
they think based on their experiences, research, whatever they come from is what and how they see, because, I don't
Depends on
know.
what we want to do,
It's
right? It's like,
when it comes
what do
to,
you want to do?
right. You
Like,
mean you
I just want to ask you this: what would you want? Like, what do you want to know before, in your lifetime? Like, what is so pressing on you right now? I want to pick your mind. Like, 100%. What do you want confirmation of?
are you talking to you asking me specifically?
Yeah, like in your lifetime,
Right.
what do you want?
Well,
What do you want to like see or experience about this UFO, the star people, all this stuff?
Well, when
Like,
it
what
when
for
it
you?
when it comes to again, when I ask people questions, a lot of times, like, I know I have my own conclusions, but I always want to just ask from their point of view. I'm not curious
Sure.
about death because for me it's been there, done that. I'm not very that curious about contact because it's been there, done that.
Right.
I during my lessons that I was learning is I came back and continued being here when I was basically asked, is like, now that you know that this is, you know, this game is played in this way, do you still want to play the game? And I was like, hell yeah, and then I came back,
Yeah.
and it was one of these things to where it was all clear that it was simply we all chose to be here. Now, when it comes to those higher kind of questions, I hope I'm not sounding too ignorant. I really don't have that many. It's like, well, I've seen what I needed
Good.
to see. I've experienced what I needed to experience.
Good.
Now, having been back and having agreed to play this game, that has been my next focus. because of course the very thing that I came back for is the thing I don't have answers to, which was to continue playing this game. So of course my eyes now, where they used to be diverted up in the sky and aliens and afterlife and all that, now we're reverted back to, okay, I'm back to continue playing this game, and how am I going to continue it now, and then that's why recently I've basically got back into just watching people, watching governments, watching, understanding, okay, what is this bill about? Why is this coming down the pike? Why are they not respecting our freedoms anymore? And then trying to then figure out what would be my role in this game again. Because I always remember, I came back. I said, yes, I want to come back again for a second time. So then I'm trying to figure out why, because that is the beauty of this game, is that it's you don't have the answers. It's basically coming back to understand and realize why you made the choice when you made it in the first place. And so when you talk about pressing things, for me, pressing things is exactly what is going on. Like, how will this work itself out? I've noticed a huge shift in mainstream, huge shift in certain cities, huge shifts in general that are not going to go back how they used to be anymore. And I don't know how information, UFO information or others, will be able to be disseminated, right? Because for a long time we've always suspected that UFO information is being curtailed, and censored to some extent. I think it was Stephen. I know it was just a few minutes ago I talked to him, but where he was saying they're okay with us, looking at the lights in the sky and all of that, but that's as far as they're comfortable with us, looking into this. And so now my focus has been back to how it started quite some time ago now, to understand the human nature of this, because obviously we're all
Well,
players on this stage. So I want to see how it unfolds. So that's my
yeah,
curiosity.
I mean, everything's in plain sight right now. Everything's coming to the surface. So, obviously, we wouldn't be in our leftist mainstream controlled media, indoctrination, opinion providing for repetition, people that are in hate of past presidents or whatnot. And anyways, it's all ridiculous. It's all conjecture, right? It's like,
Right.
it's obviously the government. If they're taking away your rights, you got to stop and protect your rights because they may not have your best interest in mind, right? What's really going on. So obviously,
Well,
there's all these bullshit programs being played on us right now. What we're all talking about here, but I mean, per the government, are they going to, front page news tomorrow that's leftist and say, yes, these star people are here. Yes, their UFOs come here. Did they defy gravity? Did they go beyond space and time? Can they go 0 to Mach 10,000, a tenth of a second? Can they? Their technology is just so fucking far beyond
right.
what we even conceptualize in our mind. It's just their capability is so more advanced than we are that all these stupid, you know, programming is just pathetic. It's just stopping our awakening that, of the how incredible it fucking really is, right? How absolutely unbelievably incredible it can be.
Right.
And what we are as human beings, our capability in our mind's eye to transcend, to see, animations, to reach out to the star people, to invite them to your location. So basically, what you do, this is what you do: relax, darken before bed, and do your breathing exercises. So you breathe in through your nose for 5 seconds, and then out through your mouth for 5 seconds. Then work up to six. Then work up to seven. Just relax, breathe up, and try to get to 15 in through your nose, and then 15 out through your mouth. Just relax. Never mind the time, but just stay in there. While you're doing that, in through your nose as long as possible. Now, just so relaxed. And then just bring into yourself the feeling of love, like the love that you've always felt and the love that you want to feel and give out. Just feel so much love for a good while. And then just feel just oneness with everything, with everything all around you, all life, oneness. And then just feel connection and welcoming and all these things, right? And then show within your mind while you're doing this breathing, right? Show in your mind where we are in the galaxy, Andromeda galaxy, and just visualize that we're at the edge of that. And then in your mind's eye, visualize our solar system, all the different planets, the sun, and then just visualize the sun for a while, and it's warm, and it's love, and it's light, and everything. And then visualize our planet. See the planet in your mind's eye when you're doing this deep breathing. And then envision where you are on the continent or the hemisphere, then the continent, and then your country, and then your state, and then all into your location. It's best to do this out when you're kind of in the wilderness, away from, bright lights and whatnot. And just reach out and just say that, you're genuine and you just want to meet, to be one with creation, and you just be so happy and pleased that, you know, they would show themselves to you, right? And you'll be visited like I went to this one campsite and I absolutely loved it. It's a very special place, and I've sent my family there since recently, and they just absolutely love it. So majestic. And when I first got there, there was a static ball of light that was traveling up a lake at a very high rate of speed, a small little static ball. I thought that was quite peculiar, so I did that what I just did there for you right now. How to, reach out to these light objects or whatever they are. And I did it that night, and the next night, this incredible orange and red craft is like, if you imagine 4K TV, fluorescent light from like a store or a gas station, incredible light, and it was two-dimensional, and it was orange and red, and it was like, if you know 4K TV, that clarity and richness, it was like 1,000K, and it just silently went over laterally about 100 feet above. It was like an egg, but a fat egg, a horizontal fat egg kind of thing. It just slowly went over top of the beach, and then it did a right turn, and then it took a 45-degree angle, and it went 0 to Mach 10,000 in like a tenth of a second. It was gone, and then there was incredible commotion after that, and then I just cried because it just how incredible it was. So now I know. Now I know that they're here, that you can reach out to them. They're a part of us, just like everybody listening is a part of me, of you, and that's just that's just the way it is. And I just so happy I can go in here and just share this to you, so impromptu, and just tell everybody that tonight, because it's absolutely incredible, and we need to stay in that frame of mind that it's what a gift, and we're in for a real treat. If we feel love and courage and strength, the power and the glory and of all goodness, and I think that you can reach out to these star people. You never know. Do I want to go on the crafts and go to other planets with them? No, I quite enjoy my life, but it's just incredible that that's possible and that's happening. And
Right.
I'm just thankful, grateful. That's all I want to say tonight. And thank you so much for doing this show, and um, everybody else who is being thoughtful, and just being themselves. They truly are, and just living to the fullest life, because it's so incredible that I look up in the stars, and that the light ships. I've seen 22. I've seen 22 light ships and many experiences. So they're here, and you know, it's incredible. It's it's astounding that this is real, and this is what's happening right now. So, and I wish everybody, just to if you want to explore that, want to meet the star people, you can. Want to have ships come down to you, you can. You're just happy the way you are, that's great too. But it's real, and we have to be mature and honest about it. And I just don't know where this will take us. as a human race. And I think it's time that if you look at the Dogon of Western Maui of Africa, he said that the men of wisdom helped them build their homes on the side of a cliff, and they've since left, but the men of wisdom will return. And Dogon's incredible how they do their dancing and their trances and everything, and they know that they're from the ninth planet of Saturn, and they know their rotational how it rotates. They have a tool that shows how that rotates basically. And yeah, the men of wisdom left, they're gonna return, probably the Greys and whatnot. So Greys, Zeta Reticuli, Palladians, all different races. It's just incredible to know you're not just a three-dimensional being, that you know, you're capable of much higher dimensions and astral travel, and so telepathy, and you're able to connect with the divine. The universe is within. So if you want to go into that, absolutely go into it with all your heart, and just go after it, go get it. You know what I mean? Go explore it. That's what it is to live. And
Well, Niels, thank you
that's
for
all I
that.
want to
I
say.
really appreciate all of that, and thank you for chiming in too. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I'm so happy that I'm able to just quickly get in here, and I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the show here. And God bless. And I send my love, my power, my wisdom, my strength to everybody, and just live the best life you can. God bless. Goodbye.
Take care, Niels. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, and I hope to talk to you again. Okay, I'm gonna go to Argo next. Argo, you're unmuted on my end. Unmute yourself on yours, and you should be able to talk to me.
Unmute. Can you hear me?
Hello? Yes, I can hear you now. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Just fine. What's on your mind?
Well, I sent you 3 pictures on your Facebook page and thought we might talk about them or something.
Let me go there and see. I
Mhm.
don't usually get don't get
As you know, I'm a
notifications.
ufologist, and for the past 2 years, my most current case is a man from Australia. I've been dealing with this case for about 2 years now, and I just thought it might be neat to send you a couple pieces of really cool, proof, evidence.
Let me see.
I don't know if you can display them on YouTube. I have to run the Telegraph app on my pad because I don't have any other way to watch YouTube or anything. But you can display them; it's not a problem.
Right. I see the pictures,
Mhm.
and hold on. Let me. It's kind of small though. Is this the
Yeah.
largest you have it?
Well, this is yeah. Well, there's 3 of them there, and it's all of an event that took place in his backyard. So one of them is going to be. It looks kind of like an elongated little orb into like a little Z pattern. If you look at it, if you blow
Right.
up on it and look at it.
One
Okay,
quick
so
second.
that was.
I'm just playing the previous video. Hold on. I need to reset my stuff. Okay, there we go. Because I was showing the video that I had previously. I was like, oh, that's not gonna work. Let's try this. Let's try this.
Yeah, in
again.
order, you should
There we go.
try the one with the little orb in the middle.
Yeah, this one I'm looking at right now.
Okay, so
there's one that is just like a light in the middle.
yeah, so that was okay. So that may be the actual craft landing on the far side of the fence, I think. Does it look like the light is back there beyond the fence, behind a tree? Like I can't see it. That's
It
terrible. I
does.
know.
Let me see here. Why am I drawing a blank? There was a. There you go.
Okay, there's one.
Yeah,
There's
I'm
one of a
trying to.
little light blob, and I think that's the ship landing actually back there behind his wooden fence and a great big tree that sits there. And then there's one that's got a big long rod in it. If anybody knows what rods are, it's got a rod in it. And
Right. I'm trying to. Let me first go through and open up all the images. So there's one. There's two, because I don't want to shift back to a page where I might reveal some of the messages there, because I'm checking my actual UFO Hub page, so I want to avoid revealing some personal info of
people's
some people that have
names.
right. So
Yeah.
let me first just open. It's only
Like
these three
mine.
images, right? So you won't need me to open
Yeah.
up anything else.
No, it's
Okay,
just
let
those
me.
three. I just kind of sent them in as fun. Figure we can talk about them for a minute.
Okay, doke. All right, let me then switch back here real quick.
Mhm.
All right, so what I'm looking at now is just a tree with a. I think I've seen these before. These weird rod beings, whatever they are, where they just kind of they kind of flying through air like they're swimming through water.
Yes, that's correct. And they move at above the detection speed of a human. Every now and then you can catch them, like if they're making a U shape by you, you might get a little fast, like, whoa, what was that? But once they get back into moving in a straight direction, you'll never see them again. They actually move quicker than our eye can detect.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they had to be caught by camera there. It's in my 35 years of doing this, it is the second rod that as I was working with someone that they've caught. Now I have another friend who has a YouTube page named Alex Oyen, and he has just a whole montage of rods and stuff that have been around. But this is just my friend in Australia, right? So
Right.
that's a pretty impressive picture of a rod, right? It's a good one.
Does it matter? Is it just a happenstance to just capture at any frame? Does it have to be like 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second? What are we talking?
Well,
Is there a specific
you
step
want
or just?
Well, he was just using his iPhone. It's a new iPhone. He did have to make sure that the shutter speed was on the highest that it could, and the frame rate and all that stuff, because he streams to a Facebook group regularly.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just taken on an iPhone. But he is not only is he a contactee, but he is an avid pursuer of cryptids in Australia, the Yowie as it's known there, or Bigfoot or Sasquatch as it's known here. And he is constantly out in those areas. And that was a day after he had spent about 8 hours out in the wood messing with Bigfoot, which are also all around the forest around his home. So I'll show you the toy surprise in the back here. If you look at the picture that has the rod in it, at the top part.
Hold on, which one? The one with the actual rod kind of coming in from the top right, or going?
Yes, it's
okay.
It's the smallest picture. I've actually kind of laid this out a second time because I'm sharing direct information. So I wanted a little fuzzy. So, but it's all there. All the information I'm about to tell you is all there. You can see it once you blow it up, and anybody else can too. So in my research, I have kind of tried to incorporate all the things that all of the people that I revere in the past as being on the path of truth, which, by the way, John Mack is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to try and find how it all connects, kind of in a way. And of course, I can't deny the fact that people for, let's say decades at least, have seen lights in the forest, and then a Bigfoot comes crashing down the hill, or they see a Bigfoot inside a ship, or just very sundry different ways that UFOs and cryptids, and most of the time when I say cryptids, I mean Bigfoot, are
Mm-hmm.
associated together. And in this picture, we have exactly that. And I absolutely adore this man for this picture. I will never lose this picture ever. I will keep it eternally. Because what it shows you is a rod, which to my guess is going to be just basically like an alien drone. It's a surveillance tech. It's extremely nimble. It doesn't have to be detected, but yet I think it may possibly use more earth sciences than foreign anti-gravitic sciences.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be like a lower end of a drone. It's not the best drone, that would be orbs, but it's still the same, kind of like a drone. It's it's a scout, it's a probe. Well, if you look beyond the top of the rod to the foreground, you should be able to just faintly make out a Bigfoot face, 2 eyes and a nose, and you might even be able to see the mouth in that picture. But it
Okay,
is
walk me
virtually
through one more time. So if you're looking at the rod, where exactly?
okay. If you're looking at the picture that has it sized down, where like it just came off the phone, okay, you can look behind the top tip of the rod, and if you basically start there and look underneath it just a little bit, and in the background, you'll see that there's a face sitting there. That was a Bigfoot that was literally looking over his 8.5-foot fence, standing underneath a 20-foot tree, and he has to be at least 9 foot tall there, because the next day I made him go out there, all dangerous animals and everything in Australia, and take a tape measure and everything, and go out there and show me just how high it was and all of that stuff.
Are you seeing me on the web now on YouTube?
Am I what?
Are you also watching this on YouTube right now?
No, I'm not. I
Right.
can actually go to it on my computer.
The reason why I
real
ask, I'm
quick.
trying to see if you're talking higher up here, but you don't know what I say here. So is it behind the tree between the two branches? Because that's a lot higher than 9 foot.
Well, let me show you. Sure. Well, here, hold on just a second. Let me get my wife. She's going to be so mad at me. Charlotte, can I use your pad for just a second? Thank you. Will you turn your YouTube on? Will you turn your YouTube on? Oh.
Because right now I'm pointing. You'll see me circling. You'll see me circling with the mouse of where I think you're talking about. Unless I'm
Okay, let me get these commercials out the way. Okay, nope.
down.
Okay, nope, down. Okay, now go to the tip of the rod.
Which one? Bottom tip or top tip?
Top tip.
This right here?
That's the bottom tip.
This right here?
Yep. Okay, now right there in the little circle area right underneath there, you should see his, right down just a little. You should see his face right in there. 2 eyes and a nose. I can send you a much clearer picture.
If you could, that would be great. I'm sorry. Maybe I've have it blown up too much. Let me see if I reduce it. Because all I see is that green. Green from the bush.
Okay, honey?
Okay, well, while you're doing that, while you possibly send it to me, do you want to discuss some of the other pictures? Like the next one is with that orb in the middle.
I wonder if I can I close down this app and it not kick me out?
You should be able to. You should be able to close it down. Yeah, because if as long
Okay.
as you don't.
Okay, so now I need to get rid of the YouTube stuff. Let me go back to my. I just sent this to you. There you are. Okay. So I'm going to send you a picture that has it blown up by him and circled. That may help.
Okay. Do you want to, while you're doing that, can you discuss the orb between the two trees?
Okay, so he said that after he got home, he came in, he had some dinner, and walked back out on his porch. He's got a wooden deck outside. It's a really nice home. The home is actually made of Aswan granite. It's actually 12-foot thick walls. So he's standing outside, and he said he just started to feel a little funny, like you do when you're a contactee and they're coming. So he started to feel a little funny, standing on the back porch, and he watched an orb drop out of the sky. Said he was fumbling with his phone, and he couldn't get it. He said at first he tried to go on Facebook Live, but it wouldn't let him go on Facebook Live. Not surprised at that. Can't have live, live stuff like that happen, but that didn't surprise me. He said, so he started trying to record it. The record function wouldn't work, so he started snapping pictures. And this is a few of them that he got out. So the middle one there in between the two trees, he said, is it just landing somewhere just on the other side. That's actually looking through quite a bit of wood there. Now, the one on the left where you see like a zigzag in the foreground this time, not back beyond the trees, the one on the left where I sent you in order. So it is, he couldn't see that. I'm thinking that is literally because it's just maybe 10, 15 seconds after the ship lands. That's probably deployment of this rod. He could, because the next picture where he actually caught the Bigfoot there with the rod, fully extended and flying, was maybe, I think he said maybe 10, 15 seconds. It was bang, 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 bang. He was hitting pictures and he got like 21 or something. Night, babe. He got like 21 of them or something out. And then next thing he knows, zonk, he's waking up on his porch deck, and it's 4:30 in the morning.
Right.
Well, it's no longer 1:30 in the morning. It's 4:30 in the morning. And he said he didn't remember anything about it. Woke up in the morning and went to look into his phone and was like, oh my God. So the first person he calls me, he's like, Chad, you gotta see this. I'm like, what? Calm down, man. He's like, I'm just starting to remember it now. Look at all this stuff,
Right.
So it was a pretty incredible night,
Okay, this is as far as I can zoom in. I'm sorry, I've gone back to the other one. So what I'm seeing on the picture you sent is supposed to be...
Okay, so if you look at the yellow circle there, the head is leaned into the shot from it's leaning to its right. So you're just catching its head. I can see it even in this tiny picture here. You see how it has like gray around its eyes, almost like diamond shape. And then it's got two eyes in each parts of the whites. Its nose is almost like a little pink a little bit or something, or flesh colored.
Let me, I have to switch back again here. Since I don't have a crew get things ready, I have to get it all lined up for everybody here. So I'm very quick about it, so I should be getting to it in no time. So I got your picture, and let me just get it ready, and then everyone can see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, close that out.
Boy, I need to prep these. I got probably 1,000 pictures in my iPad of evidence.
Right.
Just
Okay,
just previewing 3 of them turns into this,
Okay, so this is that picture.
Yes, zoomed in
Yep,
off
so
off of something closer to the original. You know what I mean? So that you get a
Right.
little better resolution out of it.
So according to this, it's supposed to be right under here on this one, and what you sent in was
Let me see.
That. So you're saying it's kind of looking face towards the camera? Is that what you're saying?
Its
So
head
the-
is leaning in. Yeah, you can see it right
okay.
there.
So is that what you're saying? Eyes, nose, and then does it have like a stripe across the face?
Okay, nope. Okay. So go to the first eye.
This one?
No.
This eye?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's its right eye, and that's its left eye. Exactly.
That's what I
And
mean.
you
And
see
then
it's
this stripe
Yeah.
is that like you're saying that this would be like a stripe going across his face?
I don't even know exactly what that is. So it looks gray. My guess, me and him were talking about it, and he thinks it's a female. He calls it Mama. He thinks it's a female, and he says that was Mama coming to check on him, make sure he made it back to the house all right. I don't
Right.
know whether that's real or not. You know what I mean? But he says that she's older, so it's my uneducated slash educated guess that's just probably graying. You know, I mean,
Right.
they're hairy all over. You know, he's 46, so she may be in her 50s, 60s, 70s. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
But
that's
you
cool
can
that you
see
have these
that's two
connections.
eyes.
This is from Australia. Which
Yeah.
city, if you don't mind sharing, if you can,
Or
yeah, general
it's
area?
Melbourne. It's Melbourne.
Melbourne. Okay, that's pretty general. It's
Yeah.
nothing too specific.
It's South Melbourne. It's not like Northern Sydney where a bunch of people are disappearing maybe because of these things. It's actually in Lower Melbourne,
Right.
and so shockingly close to the city that people would literally take a long gasp.
Right. Well, I've noticed from all the experiences and what other people have shared in the past, it sometimes doesn't matter. It can be a crowded place, crowded city. Not they appear and disappear at will.
Well, if you're talking about aliens, that would be correct. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Bigfoot too. And there was
Are you talking about Mike Patterson?
no, just stories that I've heard. Like I can't speak to anyone specific. Like one
Yeah.
specifically very close to home was my own mom. She's not into this shit at all, and it's like to come out of her mouth. It's like, it was really weird. And
I'd love to hear the story.
yeah, it was in St. Louis on Highway 64, I believe going. I forget which direction. I think they were going eastbound. And, St. Louis recently has, recently meaning in the past 10 years, has built up these huge walls, just, I guess, to protect neighborhoods from
Yep.
like highway sound and all of that. And she said, she's like, your dad and I were driving and there was this huge monkey on the side of the road. And I'm just like, I thought she was trying to catch me off guard, maybe to see if I'm listening or not. And I said, "What do you mean monkey? Like from a zoo?" She's like, "No, like look like a man, but like he had big and hairy, and he just kind of popped out, looked, and then he went behind the wall." I said, "You saw this on 64?" She's like, "Yes," and I'm like, okay. And she was that serious too. She's like, I don't know, and she's like, it was, really tall and all that. And I was trying to explain to her, it's like, is it like Bigfoot? And she's like, I don't know. He might have had big feet. I'm like, never mind. She didn't understand. She didn't understand what I meant. That's how oblivious she is to this kind of stuff. That's why I would take that more in as a truthful statement coming from her and an observation as opposed to somebody who's like, let's say, into it,
Right. Well, it's absolutely not uncommon that witnesses to Bigfoot have alien interactions. And now I need to reverse state that with some kind of intelligence behind it by saying this. I began to notice, as several others did, I think maybe older men, Grover Cleveland and those who are maybe gone now, or Grover Krantz. It's my belief that people who live rurally
that would what?
that live rurally If they are an abductee, if they've been a participant in the program since youth, as that is the only way that you can enter the program is by birth, and given to you. It's not that, with that being said, it's not surprising that your mom and dad saw one. It's really not. Abductees are witness to some of the most strangest things on the planet, and they lead to a lot of not knowing because of the various and sundry different wild things that they're allowed and intentionally allowed and unintentionally allowed to witness,
Right.
So for her to say that she saw one is really not surprising, knowing that you have contact, and she would therefore have to have contact, or your father, one of the two.
Right. Well, but here's the thing. They're not into this at all. Like, not even, I'm not talking about like, oh, we would discuss sometimes, but they're skeptical. It's really like not talked about. If like I
Right.
might start out a sentence, and this was way later, especially before age 26, there was no discussion of this stuff at all. At the most, they might even say, well, back in Bosnia, the farmers would always say, in Bosnia, they call it prikaze, but it says actually, like, I want to call it more like ghosts or apparition, and,
Right.
they would talk about how farmers they would be, going out early in the morning, like most farmers do, especially if you're a dairy farmer, to milk the cows, or if you have
Yep.
something you want to start on the field early. And they would talk about seeing these, I forgot what the name would be in Bosnia or in this one, but they call them like sprites or something like that, and they would be dancing in the fields, and all kinds of stuff. And so the stories they would just, tell from generation to generation. But even then, they only touched a little bit on that and left it at that. It was only when I later explained to them more about my experiences, it was kind of weird because they sat there, it was over at my house. I talked to them about a lot of different things. Most of the time they didn't ask any questions. Their interest kind of perked up when I said, "Hey, grandma came by to talk to me," because
Wow.
well, they respect me as their older son a lot, and they do listen, but they aren't always on board. And when I said that, because it would be, it's unlikely for me to go nuts. They always think of me as their older, smarter kid. Not smarter, but it's like in the old country families, they always put the
Yep.
emphasis on the firstborn
In
big
that
time.
European way, like I've been to Europe, I spent years in Europe. I know exactly what you're talking
Right,
about,
right. So
actually.
exactly. So anyway, so to them to hear me speak this crazy nonsense,
Ouch.
it was kind of like, taking them back,
Ouch.
because they know that I wouldn't be lying to them. So whatever I was telling them, they took it to heart because they know I wouldn't bullshit them, and
And they knew
so.
you believed it, you know.
Well, believed it, knew it, experienced it, all of that. Because it was quite a long conversation, about 3 hour long, me just rolling out of all the things that I've been basically experiencing in this house, living all by myself. And that was the one and only time they ever listened. After that, I might say a sentence and they change the subject. I might say something else and they'll go into whatever. But
I always say that my mother and my sister are the second and third best ufologists in the world. And how would I know? Because I subjected them to every bit of information that I've had for 40 years. I'm
right.
like, here's a new book. You got to read it. No, I don't have time. I'm 4 years into a nursing degree. I don't care. You got to
Right.
get it in.
That's funny.
My mother, on the other hand, my mother would sit around and read, like on her days off. She would literally buy giant nursing manuals. They're 5 inches thick, and she would sit and read them. So she was real easy. I could just walk in
Right.
and lay one of my books down on her nightstand. Oh, it got consumed. You know.
Yeah. Well, that's good that you at least had them on that end. It's like my parents, their code word now for everything I do with UFO Hub, they just always look at it as like, never mind the experiences, never mind the whole life-changing reason why I started UFO Hub. They're always like, how's business? I'm like, business is good. Okay, good. And then they change the subject again. That's as far as they
Yeah.
dip their toes. And I don't care. This is
I have.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't hurt my feelings whatsoever because my experiences are
You
totally, whether
can't
they
let it.
believe it or not, whether they believe it or not, it won't change a thing. It's just, as wanting to try to, especially after what I experienced, why they did what they did and how they were, and my agreement with them. I know you and I have kind of discussed this a little bit in the past, but I'm over that resentful thing, but I still have this human emotional connection with them, trying to overcome. Like it was difficult to be friends with somebody who you didn't like for a long time, or who always
Right.
hurt, or who always hurt you, for you to come back smiling. But that's one of my next paths, I guess, after my experiences, to kind of try to be the person to bridge that gap. Anyway,
I
and
was rather
so
saddened to hear that you were resolved to so much of your experience. I was gladdened to hear that you are now ready to forge on and kind of help everyone through the fog, now that you've been able to put so many issues for yourself away or to the side or resolve them comfortably that you deal with them well. But I was completely saddened to hear that you were kind of in that space. And there's only one reason why. And that's because I think that with the proper tools and the time to implement them, I think that you could find that your experience has that you've literally just taken the foam off the top of the beer and you have the rest of the beverage to consume. That's just my feeling. But if I had to say what my percentages are in being right, I'd say I'm above 90% right.
Argo, I'm sorry to say I'm not quite familiar with that expression, what you mean with foam and beer. If you can give me a
So
different one to understand what you're trying to get at.
so you sound as though you've had your whole meal, and I think that you've only had the drink. Does that make better? Does that make it better? Meaning that
Oh,
there's
I see.
more for you
Right.
yeah.
Okay,
You
I see
have
what you mean.
more
Right.
left than you think you do because you think you finished your meal. You think you've come to a place where you can set everything comfortably and you're okay and that you and but I think that with the proper tools done the proper way at the proper time in the proper way that you would find that really you've just barely scratched the things that you personally only you now, I'm only speaking to you, that you have actually been witness to and part and parcel of.
Right. Well, obviously, no, I don't doubt that one bit because obviously I'm back to continue the journey, to do what I feel like I need to do. But I think we also talked about that. Like, not everyone has to experience or go through exactly what I did, but they understand a form or a version of what had happened. So if I can try to convey to them in layman terms, like, hey, you can overcome this too. I mean, what a great tool, what a great setting, for anyone to just be able to take that in and go, oh, I can maybe apply this in my own life. Well, talking about, just resolving still some energies. So I had my experiences. I realized all the reasons why everything was happening, but yet I still am a little bit like, not resentful, but like I hesitate to reach out. It's like, imagine like, let me tell you an over exaggerated example. Like, God forbid, and this is maybe a bad thing to say, but just to give you really like, to make you really feel it. Imagine like
Okay.
there's a person that just killed your whole family, right? But for some reason, you're the one that has to reach out and make peace with that person.
Yeah, I get that. I really do
Okay,
get that feeling.
that's
And that runs
that's
pretty deeply in contactees
that's how I
action.
feel. That's how I feel towards my parents, to be the one to then have to reach out, because that's, again, as I mentioned in the very beginning of this, it's an energy resolving. It's like it's nowhere close to being how heavy it used to be, but I'm still kind of going back and forth. I do more an effort to answer more phone calls and all these other things because I don't like being a hypocrite. And if I say
Yep.
I know and experience what I need to experience, then why am I still choosing then to still go back and go, it's like, no, yeah, I'm not going to do anything, and just act like a child still, you know what I mean? And so it drives
Yeah.
me nuts. So I always, still use these tools that I've built up to reach out because one of those things, honestly, when it comes to, when it comes to like, there's still this, I feel like, as I was saying, this, we still need to resolve whatever we need to resolve, like within the UFO community, within society, within your neighborhood, all of that, whatever needs to get done in order for us to move forward and then eventually have the contact that we always hope to have, with ships just hovering all over and them ready to do what they need to do. I think.
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, I mean,
That's
if you do,
it's
you really
just
think, honest question, if you 20 years ago, if I or someone else told you that the world would be the way it is now, would you have honestly believed it?
yeah, yeah.
Then you must be a time traveler or a wiser man than you appear, because the world is quite different. Just 20 years ago, it's like I could not
I agree.
imagine.
But 20 years ago, 20 years ago, I was 32. Okay. I had already served my time in the military. And I wasn't a cook. Okay. I had lived overseas in Europe. I understood uniquely what was happening in Germany in the early 80s, as I was there in a Czech Border Patrol unit. I have been in numerous different countries and seen the way that the world thinks of not only America, but
Hmm.
Americans.
Right?
I saw from the middle of the late 70s all the way up to around 2000, I saw the extreme upper class completely eliminate the middle class. Why? Because the middle class had both things, a little money and a little time, and they could affect change. So they had to go. As a result, now, decades later, you have an America that still remembers legendary sayings like "Made in America."
Hmm.
The only thing we make nowadays are fat kids and DJs because we don't make anything here anymore.
Right.
You know, there are two types of people in the United States that make money: those who barely make it, and those who absolutely have so much they wouldn't know what a hard time is.
Right.
I've lived long enough to know what trickle down economics did to the United States and Reaganomics. I was I was there when George Bush Sr. was elected into office. The only thing he did was tell something that he couldn't do. He had to fight a war, so he had to raise taxes. I seen Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton take office, and America start to boom. Let me tell you, when they were in office, baby, there were jobs everywhere. But let me tell you, while those jobs were everywhere, it was the final coup de grace to the middle class because they sold everything to China. The NAFTA free trade agreement destroyed America.
Yeah, and what I read up on
Absolutely.
NAFTA was horrible.
Absolutely gutted America. In the town that I live in, we had Solo Cup, Zenith, Magnavox, Kraft, Caterpillar, a pickle factory. I mean, just we Associated Grocers, wholesale grocers. We had mega corporations here, and there's about 4 of them that live. That's it. Kraft is still here. It's way smaller. Dill
Yeah,
pickle
Zenith
plant's
was one
still
of our
here.
first TVs we ever got when we moved to the United States.
Yeah, they had to get rid of those jobs because people were making 15, 18, $20 an hour during that era, and people were having good lives, and people who have good lives had time to affect change. And the people above them couldn't have them affecting change. So would I have seen this? Yes, I've been saying this for years. Economic slavery is destroying and has now destroyed America. In 2008, when the world was shown that all the money men are lying to every single one of us, that they just do nothing but push their money around from bank account to bank account, lying and stealing from every one of us. I
They should
thought
have
then,
never gotten bailed out.
That's right. I said, we have a chance right here to break the evil hold. Nope. Nope. The media jumped in bed with them, spun it out, flipped, and you had corporate CEOs that were made to quit their jobs. So when the relief came from the government, they took a $50 million benefit and left the company. That's how loosely that was played. That was to shut money men up, people. That was to shut people up who would tell you things that would make you angry, make your skin hot. But so did I know this was coming? I did. And there's much more worse coming. I can tell you right now. I could say things on this show right now that in 5 years, you'd be like, oh my word, that man was so right.
Well, hey, this is your chance for your 15 minutes of fame, so have at it. But let me say something first here. My wake-up call was 9/11, and what was interesting is everyone was bitching and moaning about Bush passing Patriot Act 1, as it's Patriot Act at that time. And then everybody was, when then Obama was elected, everyone was like, he'll change everything and all this other stuff. And then he passed, Patriot Act 2. And that's when I was like, there is no difference. We're being played, and then, the more and more you looked into it, I was like, I cannot tell a difference. If I was putting this shit down on paper and just asked you to point out a difference, you can't. Only later you can add a D and an R on top of it, and you're like, oh, okay, well, same thing. It was something that it was maybe, I think now people are waking up to it, but again, every president, it's almost like using the. I'm not trying to get it come back to UFOs, but it just popped into my head. Those motherfuckers, they always use UFOs as their thing. Like, Clinton was like, I'm gonna look into UFOs, and Obama is toying. Yeah, she is, and Obama is toying with the idea, and all of those. Always using UFOs to. It's like that toy. Right? It's like, that there's a possibility that if I'm, but it's always subtle. It's never been like the main talking point as what they run under. It was always done subtle on shows, late night shows, where they toy with the idea that, I might look into this. I might do something, and people are like, oh, that was the same thing when they first came, when the term UAP first came about. I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me right now. And there was like, rehashing the same thing, like let us make the UFOs, it's like kind of dead, but UAPs, those are new. It's like, no, same shit different day. It's like,
I used to not like it, but in a way I like it because UAP sounds a little threatening, and I'm glad it sounds threatening.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, like you're just rebranding something that's, so it's like, let's not make progress. Let's just change the words. It's like taking a book, never applying any concepts of the book, but we change the words and the way it's being read again. And, while continuing not doing anything.
Oh, Adnan, I really don't want to do it here on the air, but you and I should talk sometime, because I really think I would love to be able to spark a fire in you about certain subjects and then just see you tear ass into it, bro. I languish and in anguish as a ufologist because of many of the terms I said about a year ago. Ufology isn't making any more determinations anymore. Everybody's making determinations has been stifled, shut up, or is dead. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got this open-ended, euphoric, blah, 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 blah. And the truth is that any real science shows that is absolute falsity. The problem is that everybody's full of it, man. Everybody's full of it. You can't get the message out. Now, with that being said, why is the government now trying to show us UAPs and stuff like this? Well, I know why. I know exactly why. Because the tip of the spear information train that was the 90s was smashed out so hard, and now it is down to a trickle of truth if you know where to drink, and there is a flood of sewage pouring out of this subject daily everywhere. Okay, that the gov now realizes that good scientists are not only gone, but people don't know anymore. So the only people that really know the real stories are their people. So now they feel like they have the control to now re-release the story as they want it told, right? Because
Right.
people like me, Bud Hopkins, John Mack, Dave Jacobs, Carla Turner, Benjamin Simon, Ray Fowler are all either gone or going to be gone soon. Now, I put my name in there with all of them people, right? I've read all of their material. They were great scientists, and many of them had so many good things that will be eternally lost unless I or some other brave, intelligent soul who sees the same things say them. So I'll put myself there. That's why I put myself there. Because
Right.
if I had to fashion myself after any of those names, who am I? I'm Carla Turner. Yeah, not because I'm funny. I've been married over 20 years now. But Carla Turner was a beast. Carla Turner went after the aliens in a way that no one back then was. Even Bud's research was real melancholy in a way compared to Carla's.
Hmm.
Carla Carla wrote papers for Florida newspapers and went to events, and her message was these people are doing things to us that we ain't giving them permission to. They lie and hurt people, they threaten people, and they possibly even kill people. And then she left, and that message was gone. The only message that was left was kind of Bud, Dave Jacobs, Leo Sprinkle, you know. So I hate to say it like that, but Lee Sprinkle knows a lot that he doesn't say a word about. Not a word. There are big time, and I mean big time, researchers in the field that know very dire things, and I have yet to date to even see them. Like if they've gotten, if somebody gets close to a question about certain things like that, they will skirt it so fast they'll fill it with 45 seconds of blah that winds them completely in a different direction, and people will go right on by them. That's because the truth is that much of the truth in this field no one wants to hear because it's not very nice. I would advise people here to go and listen to Coast to Coast AM about, I don't know, a week ago, put on George Knapp did Bud Hopkins' last interview with him. I'd advise you to listen to that. If you don't know who Bud Hopkins is, I'd advise you to read every single thing he has. Every single thing. Want to know about invisibility? Read Sight Unseen by Bud Hopkins. Now, you want to hear the craziest stories you ever heard in your life? Well, it's also, you know, in that interview, Bud Hopkins is George Knapp asked him, so what about, well, like Dave Jacobs has come out and said, these people living among us, they're walking among us, and Bud's exact answer was, I wrote about this in my last book, Sight Unseen, which he did. These people are here. And I'll tell you something. It didn't happen yesterday. It happened about 20 years ago.
Right.
That's when it happened. I'm compelled to tell you something about someone I know that you revere very deeply, Dolores Cannon. I'll tell you a story sometime that I think that I have just since the day that we talked about it a few weeks ago. I think about it periodically, and I need to tell you that story sometime in private.
What do you mean? What is it regarding to?
Well, it's regarding her and her contact. Yeah. But yeah, so there's a lot of things going on in ufology. It's absolute trash. So people like
Hold on. What are you getting at, like regarding Dolores Cannon? I'm curious now.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain then if I can't tell you. So
Are you saying that she wasn't who she said she was? Or
no,
what are you?
no, no, I am not. Nope. I'm saying that I'll say that there is a facet to her story that she and a few others knew that she never told the public.
Well, I mean, considering that I'm literally sitting about 100 yards away from her house right now,
Right?
there's very
Right.
few little things that I don't know about her, but I'm wondering which specific thing you're talking about.
Well, I think she's had contact, right? She's told you that, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, she hasn't told me, but the family knows. I drive that driveway every day.
Right. I understand that. That's why I say I don't want to talk. I tell you what, you could I know that you don't necessarily like Dave Jacobs, right? I know that you don't like
It's
the way
not. It's
he
not.
treated
No,
her
here's
once
the thing.
before.
It's not. It's not that I don't. I even have his books, and all of that. It's not that I don't like
Have
him
you read
as
Walking Among Us?
I have
Wait,
it.
have you
I,
read
I,
Walking?
Well, he does it called The Walking
You've read it.
Among Them. I have. There's several different books that he came out. I have to look at my shelf. But no, the point is, it's not what he's talking about, and that it's going out there. I want every perspective when it comes to the UFO to come out, whether it's fearful, whether it's all lovey-dovey. I don't care. The point is, be out there. What I don't respect is him as a person to take a swipe at Dolores in the way he did at a conference in 2012 that was absolutely not necessary, because, we already have, it's like
I
as
agree.
we
Do
already
you know
were
why
on
he
the,
did that? Do you know why he did that? He
I don't
did
know
that out
what
of
his reasoning,
frustration.
right?
I know what his reasoning was. He's never told me. I'm not saying I'm a friend of his, but I know what his reasoning is because I understand the exact same frustrations he did, which so did Bud Hopkins, so did Ray Fowler, so did Benjamin Simon. Probably, I don't know that John Mack did because John Mack was constantly trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I understand that, we really lost someone there because he was very optimistic. He was the most scientific, optimistic mind we had, but he did that, I think, out of his frustration in her message. She was really beginning to be popular. She was already popular. And he personally, with his own research, didn't feel like her direction was good for the subject. He's all but basically said that, I think, several times in numerous different interviews where he will kind of in a bland, offhand way mention that type of quote person as he puts it or however he puts it,
Right. Well, no, all of that is understandable. I mean, the point is, if you have something, like even what it is that I do, I don't really care how and what other people do and how they present things. All I know is how I would like to do it. If you like it and you're on board, that's great. I hope you get something out of it, but it's not something that now I will actively go after and say, "Hey, I don't like the way you run your channel. You better change the way you run the channel, or I'm going to be more vocal about it." That's what I would never do. It's
I
just,
do. I do.
well,
I write dirty comments to people, you bet. If I sit and watch someone's tripe, and I mean it's absolute tripe.
That's why I'm hoping I haven't given up hope on humanity for them to, at least if they watch what they're offering, what I'm offering, that they can still kind of see different values and understand that these are two separate different camps instead of bunching us all together in one. I mean, I hope humanity doesn't fall that deep.
Well, they are though. They are though. I tell you what, with what I know, I could make $10 million over the next 10 years easy. You know how? I could just become a universal super soul. That's all I got to do. I just got to be a time shifting super soldier. That's it. And baby, I'm in like Flynn. I got conferences. It's just, like I said, the direction this is going is abysmal because the truth is not coming out anymore. I don't know anybody that's really doing the work that needs to be done.
Right. Yeah, no,
I really don't.
With that, I agree. But if I could just, add this part, I don't mind people making a living whatsoever. The point is, if you're like, let's say John Mack, for example, why not, have him sell his books after he done the research,
Absolutely.
right? Why not Bud Hopkins or anything like that? But what I don't like is this new direction, personally, that I just think, you know how they always money was introduced in ways to where instead of funding basically the research that they're already doing to help them do more of it, right? Which most scientific fields are funded that way, and hoping to maybe come up with some results in the future based on whatever they approach. The field somehow got turned into money and entertainment
Yep.
instead of money and
Yep. Private
research.
$80 lectures behind a paywall.
Well, or I'm specifically just, you know, it's like I don't know that that TV did us a favor in the field, honestly. You know, I mean, they still do what they do, but I don't think it helped. You know, especially some of the most famous shows out there. It's like, I just
YouTube
don't.
in the early days was fantastic for ufology. I remember in the early days, I could get on YouTube, and I mean, people all over the world were posting the absolute most fantastic UFOs, strange crap all in their backyard, and Bigfoots, and all sorts of weird stuff. And then, you know, you skip forward 20 years, and YouTube makes its living off of Tim the Tat Man streaming Warzone.
Yeah.
And, you know, an incident happened to me last year. It made me so mad at the subject. I literally gave the subject, for all intents and purposes, completely. The only person I ever dealt with was my friend in Australia. I was just sick and tired of the subject, right? So I come back to YouTube about 3 weeks ago. I just, for whatever reason, I saw something pop up because I got a million notifications, and I hit it. As a matter of fact, I think it was you, but I'm not sure. So I hit it, and I start tooling around in YouTube again, and I start working my little YouTube magic and knowing that you have to word things certain ways to get the results you want. And they have smashed YouTube to pieces. Absolutely to pieces. If you're looking for truth in this subject, it's gone. If you're looking for noise in this subject that you think is truth, it is on 10.
Right.
If you're looking for cryptids in this, you get rhetoric. You get mainstream trash. And if you're looking for the guy who has 28 subs, his channel's been on for 7 years. He's got 429 videos, and he's got all sorts of Bigfoot evidence. You're not finding that guy.
Right.
That guy is so buried, you will be so lucky to find him.
Right.
You know?
Well,
that's the sad state of YouTube.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, I can bitch about YouTube all day. I mean, especially for, obviously, I'm on YouTube, and it's unbelievable, the stuff they've done. They've literally cut off, you know, both arms and then said, go ahead, go play basketball. You know, like, how?
Yep.
You know? But anyway, so Argo, what I want to do is, it's getting pretty late, so I want to give Crypto and Fab a chance to come on and speak to me before I sign off. So I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut this short. You know, I wish I wouldn't be as tired, but I don't know. I haven't figured out what I need to do to keep my attention longer than 3 hours. But I want to thank you again for logging in and chatting with me and conversing. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it was fun, man. Keep the pictures, check them out all you want, share them with people.
Oh yeah, good deal. I'm interested to see. I haven't had a chance to thoroughly look through the comments, but I want to see what people said in comments about them. That would be cool too. But okay, thanks, Argo. Yeah, and we'll chat. I think are you in Springdale, Missouri?
Springfield?
Yeah, Springfield.
I'm
Yeah,
right above
Springfield.
you.
Yeah, we're only 2 hours. We're only 2 hours apart.
Yeah, we should get together sometime.
Yeah. I'll be in Branson this coming weekend, so I'll be closer.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well,
okay, Argo. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I got your Facebook and your message, so we'll stay in touch.
Okay, man.
Okay. All right. Thank you again. Take care.
All right. See you, buddy.
Okay. Crypto. I hope you're still on. You had your hand raised prior.
Hello.
Hi. How are you? How you doing?
Yeah,
Good to talk to you.
good. I just ran outside right quick to because you and Steve were talking about something earlier that that was really interesting. I have a really cool well, no, actually it was a terrible experience, but I'm glad I had it. Um, I didn't know I was messing around with some people who were like Satanists, and
How do you not know?
you
I'm sorry, I don't mean to make fun
well,
of it. It's like did the
well,
black
the
robes
thing
and
is, you know,
the dark eyeliner
no,
and then give it away.
no, I mean, the holy water was, you know, I'm like, what is this? And he's like, it's holy water. I'm like, what the fuck is holy water doing here? You know? And but so I had no idea. Well, they usually don't tell you. They just do what they do, and they won't tell you until, you know, later apparently. But I was in Austin, and I didn't know that I was pretty much I was surrounded. There was a bunch of people who did that. I think they all went to Colorado, or most of them. But so like anyway, I I kind of got into a huge mess, and I came home, and I was like, Mom, blah 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 blah, and she goes, you need to go to cathedral for confession to be clean. And I said, absolutely. And I could tell something wasn't right with me. I was having weird dreams. Like I heard the devil laugh, and he was playing with my foot when I was climbing the ladder in this dream. And I wasn't scared, but I was like, it was a different kind of fear, like, must climb. He's not trying to pull me off, he's fucking with me. And the laughter, I'll never forget that. His growl or whatever. And so I didn't know, even with all the dreams and everything, I didn't know there was something inside me, and I didn't know something was put there. Um, and so I ended up driving to Cathedral from Dallas to Austin, and somewhere in between, I was just so tired. I was so exhausted, and I was like, I really couldn't keep my eyes open or like hold the steering wheel. So I pulled into a gas station, a big one, and I was just like laying down in the car, reclined the seat, and about 45-degree angle, I just like this I just felt this thing like pull out of my chest, like, and it squealed. It was awful. And I was like, get the fuck out of me, you fucking whatever the fuck you are. I was like, I felt it scream, and it left. And I saw the people in the gas station. It was a modern one, very big one and modern. And I was like, oh fuck, that was embarrassing. I wonder if somebody saw that. Like that was the first thing. And first I'm like, is it gone? And then I'm like, did y'all see that? And I looked in the windows, and they were looking at me like I saw many faces looking at me. I don't know what they saw. I don't know if it's on camera, but it was weird because I was on my way for this very reason. And it was just so wild. I mean, I can't say, you know, I learned about, you know, spiritual hygiene uh, and things that can happen, you know, just through touch as a massage therapist. And so I just really kept up with it. It was my lesson on, you know, just keeping this body clean and your mind clean
Hmm.
from, and also it taught me, like, you know who you're talking to sometimes. You have to be, I mean, just never drink something from someone, or like, you know, like when you're partying and you're just meeting people, you're not thinking at all about you know, what's going on. The world is really really sick, and you could be surrounded by crazies and not know it. But so that thought, what reminded me of it, because I remember my mom saying in the conversation before I left, she was like, you know, go clean. I felt something was like I wasn't reacting the right way, like I wasn't myself, and it felt like something was driving me. And I totally understand when when I hear about, you know, possession or something. It's not, you know, like the chick in The Exorcist, where, you know, her head is turning and she's walking on all fours upside down. I mean, it can be that way,
Right.
I guess. I believe that it can. But it's kind of like that when you're playing a video game, and like you leave the player alone, you drop the controllers, and then they just kind of stand. They kind of stand and move around, like maybe they look at something, or but they're, you know, total NPCs. You know, like it's just like this state of animation that's not really There's nothing there. And it was so wild, man. Like you could literally, I know I'm not myself. I'm just quiet. And this room, and I knew, so I'm glad it happened to me, because when someone came in to make an appointment and came in, and I just tell instantly the way this person was walking and looking, I was like, I've I knew exactly what it was. And so I just kept myself super clean, and I refused to see the client. I was like, I came up with what the best thing I could to get this person away. But I was like, oh my gosh, like, so that's how you can like drive people. You can, you know, kind of like in that movie Get Out, you can push them aside and put something else there that will drive them. Like you were talking about the celebrities earlier. And I know there's some really sick fuckers who practice and abuse, some of these holy sacraments.
Mm-hmm.
I never studied it. I don't want to study it, but I only know from experience that it's a thing, and it's way more popular than you want it to be. Uh, I guess there is light and then there is dark, and obviously you are more of what you are closer to and you gravitate towards. So I don't know. I guess if someone in the messages can tell me, like, just a real good way of knowing for sure, being super super cleaned from inside. I know a chakra bath. Laying on a table for someone to do your chakras is really really good. But maybe someone can just kind of hit the nail on the head in the comment section to me, just to make sure. It was a long time ago, and it's just something that I cannot remove from my head. And your talk with Steve about of people and celebrities being like driven and controlled, and how awkward it is. Well, it's very true, dude. And I don't know if you can do it to the masses through TV waves or something, but I just think you two were really onto something, and I just like, oh my God, this reminds me of that time in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy. Oh my gosh. But I just wanted to throw that out there for you guys. It
Whatever
was
you were
something
going
from
through, I'm
earlier in the
glad you
chat.
came out all right from it. You sound
Oh,
you all right.
that was a while. Absolutely. I went to Cathedral, and he said, say this, 10 times. And it was so wild. It was so hard to get it out 10 times, Adnan. Like something, I knew that prayer by the back of my head, like the back of my hand. And it was just always ready. And all of a sudden, I just could not. It was really tough to get it out 10 times, but I did, like as he told me to. But of course, I feel awesome. I feel fine. I love where I'm going, and so I just wanted to put that out there. I kind of wanted to save it for October, to be cheesy about it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we'll have plenty of ghost stories and shit for
You,
October. I think everybody's
yeah,
got those.
you still can.
Yeah, it's coming, and that's one of my favorite months.
Right.
So anyway, I was just chiming in a little bit, and it's so hard to like install a ceiling fan and do UFO Hub at the same time. Like I'm just like, I can't pay attention. So I'm gonna
Right.
get back and finish this. I appreciate you, man.
Well, no, thank you. I just hope you didn't install it backwards so it flows the other way.
No, these are smarter than ever now. So there's a lot of
Uh,
extra wiring and shit in this one. So I'm like, I'm confident in my skills. I'm just so focused on chatting and
right.
trying to grab the tools on the ladder. So I'll
Well,
see
I
you
mean,
guys.
I hope you continue, get it installed, and then thanks for chiming in. I
Oh yeah,
appreciate it.
absolutely, absolutely. I'll see you
All
guys.
right. Yeah, Crypto, we'll talk again. All right, Fab. It seems like there's a pattern that I always end up uh, finishing up my show with you. You're unmuted, Fab, and unmute yourself on your end. Fab,
Yeah, I
can you
think
hear
I'm
me?
unmuted.
Yep, I can hear you now.
I think I'm unmuted, no?
No, you're unmuted. Yeah, you're good.
Cool, cool.
How are you?
Yes, once again, we are having a marathon. Yes, not too bad, not too bad.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't know if it's your connection or what.
Getting a bit more healthy, healthier. And by the way, it was quite a good competition. Can you hear me?
Yes, but you're sounding kind of weird. Like your like the connection is not as good. Keep talking. I want to hear more, please.
Okay, that's a bit of a shame. Is it a bit better now if I speak slowly?
Yeah, no, it's better now. Yeah, keep going.
Okay, nice one. Yes, it's quite a good compilation that you put on the show at the beginning with all those footage. That was quite awesome.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean it's all older stuff, but I don't know that everyone has seen it. So they go back. There'll be, I guess, maybe something interesting to look at.
I've got a little precision on one of the footage that you actually put on. It's the one regarding the sun.
Yeah, what's up?
With that, it's actually a natural phenomena that we've got here. Phenomenon, actually. But astronomy that I know a fair bit, let's say. And what you have here basically is two plasma tornadoes, right, that are actually joining together, and after that you have a solar flare that comes out. Right, so it's quite natural. It actually happens quite a lot. You can actually via internet plug yourself directly to some satellites and get actually live picture. And I can tell you that 2 days ago we had the same phenomenon happening, and about 5 days ago we had also the same phenomenon happening. So they are basically just plasma tornadoes. They are about 10 times bigger than the Earth, but just spins out, right? And after that you've got a solar flare eruption that just comes out, and it has nothing to do with UFO at all.
Well, here's the thing.
Just a little precision on that.
Right. No, I know what you mean. Let me get back here to. I've been trying to get my. See if I can get back to it.
You can actually have access to the solar satellite quite easily. I do it twice every day.
Right. Well, here's the thing. This is what I wanted to get at. Let me go back here, see if I can control it. So I was trying to skip through. Okay, here's the thing. Are you watching the video right now? Fab, are you in front of the computer?
I'm watching the screen behind, but now I can't get it.
Well, no, the reason why.
Yes, I am.
Let me start with this one. So if you're watching this, I get that, but watch the half circle that's there, and when there's another after those three converge, there's an actual circle that's sucking it up, and that's actually staying on the same spot. It's not going along. But then when you see it, it actually goes, like it's actually pushing itself off the sun. Are you seeing what I'm seeing right now? Because when you look at the circle,
yes,
or whatever the sphere is, look at the sun, you can see like it's being like a wake is being left behind on it. That's the only thing that I'm looking at that's different. Let me go back here. That's different than the other ones that are being created on it. Because you can tell it within the same footage, there's other cyclones that are being created.
Yes.
So no, I get your point. I see what you mean. I just there's a lot more there to be looked at.
Yes, I can't actually see it on my computer right now, but and also
Hello? Hello?
And after that, you got a huge source of flare as well. So it's the thing also here, of course, you do have some footage where that black hole is there, and some footage the black hole is not there. So the idea here is to actually go back into the solar data, all right, and look at the same picture with different filters.
Right. Yeah, to go
right, like, and there are 5 different filters.
Right.
And you'll find out that these things are at all.
Right. Yeah, no, same thing when I was looking for the 1984 NASA footage and then the 1996, you can still go and download that original footage. You hear them talking in the background, the communication going back and forth. And I guess because NASA, because it's publicly funded, it's all free to be gotten and downloaded. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's definitely like if you want to do some actual analyzing or research, you always want to do it off of the original footage. I would agree with that
Yeah,
extent.
yeah, that's right. And also look at the footage through different filters. There are 5 different filters actually used for that.
Right. Right. There's
However, what is yes?
no, you go ahead. I'm trying to hear what you were trying
Please
to
go
say.
ahead. What is quite interesting, though, is that solar flare was directly directed to planet Earth, right? And with such solar flare, we should have had a major incident on planetary. I mean, everything should have been cut: internet, electricity, etc. There should have been a lot of damage, and funnily enough, nothing happened. And
Are you talking about in that angle that's shown in the video that was pointed towards Earth?
Yes, that's directly directly facing Earth. Right. When you look at the SOE image, right, we are roughly the Earth position, right? It's 7 o'clock.
Right.
So you're looking southwest. We're at 7 o'clock, and let's say about 4 or 5 centimeters up. This is where the planet Earth is located towards that. Right. So when you see a solar flare coming out of that direction, that means that it's coming to us in roughly, let's say, 2 to 3 days.
Right. It's one thing I've always heard.
And by the way, it's a good thing to check,
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, this was just, a lot of the other footage as well, like I always say, I cannot be 100% certain. For one, I didn't film it myself, and that alone, should always leave a huge gap of skepticism. But what I was going to say about solar flares, it's one of these things to where there's so many stories and people have written books about it, and solar flares eventually, being a threat to our infrastructure and electric grid and all of that. And all these years is just still nothing. I mean, there have been, small instances, but nothing to the extent that they've written about and talked about that it would be a full-on meltdown and months and weeks for things to be delivered and replaced. So, I don't want this to come true, of course, but I'm just saying that, nothing really major ever happened out of those things. Basically, these solar
yes,
flare threats.
That's where you have a very, very good point. You have a very good point here. Indeed. It's a very good question. How come, with all those things coming at us, it's not actually reaching us that bad? Of course, you've got the Schumann resonance, the protection energy around the planet that absorbs a lot of that.
Right.
Yeah, but there is a lot of confusion. How come the solar flares and some have been they are being recorded. They've got a lot of measurements. They can tell you the speed, they can tell you the intensity, they can tell you so many things. And they see that thing coming, and then all suddenly, wow, how come there is nothing?
Right.
It's a very good question. And I'm trying to stay as scientific as possible here, but it has crossed my mind. So maybe we've got some protection here.
Right. Well, I mean,
but indeed,
maybe
those are definitely.
Well, either those planetary magnetic fields are a lot stronger than we're all led to believe, that they're pretty much, blocking out everything coming our way, or maybe the sun itself is, maybe plays a totally different role than what we've been led to believe.
Yes. But by the way, Schumann, at this moment is reducing quite a lot, so it's not very good news for us.
You
The
sound
energy
very
belt,
echoey. Like, are you in a
which
like
totally
a?
totally natural, is
Fab, do you have like a mic?
Macron.
Are you using a mic, or do you sound like you're in a big room? And it's so
Yeah,
I'm
I'm using
getting.
my mic. Yeah. No, I'm using my mic. So yes, if it's uncomfortable, there is no point talking too
No,
much.
it's just
Just one
because
last thing.
I was just going to say the connection is kind of going in and out, and then the echo of the room. It's I really wish I want to talk to you. If there's like maybe a different room you can shift to that might have more furniture or something, so there's less of an echo.
Is it a bit better like that?
Yeah, keep talking.
And yes, second point. I don't know if you had the time to actually check the chat today.
Not very much. Was there something you were saying? I'm sorry, I was not engaged in the chat as much as I would like to.
I've actually copy and paste the newest report that we've got from the Department of Defense
the
regarding
US.
the UAP.
Let me
Yes,
see here.
that's right. That's right. You've got the NDAA, which is the National Defense Authorization Act.
Oh boy, y'all been chatty today.
Was actually put some new directive. This is by the National Department. This has been done, by the way, by it's been done by it's a representative. It's a Democrat, actually, Ruben Gallego. All right, and this is the new person being in charge of the UAP task force. By the way, the UAP task force is being disbanded, and they are putting a new task force, right? And all the directives, but I think that happened about 3-4 days ago. All the directives are actually you can find them online, right? This is all official.
Okay, I think I see yours.
And we've got some really, really big news here. It's really big what's happening, huh? Really, really big. That's it. It's moving.
That you mean what you
Things are
pasted?
moving.
You talking about what you were pasting in the chat, or something else is happening? Please clarify.
That's right. Yeah. I've actually pasted the link as well, when people can check directly what that report is all about. This is an official report.
Did you paste the link first and then you pasted stuff from it?
No, it's sort of more towards the end, somewhere in the middle, because I was having trouble to actually find that link again.
I'll look through the chat later and see what you pasted and see if I can find a link. That so that way I can take a closer look, when we're not online, and then I can say or speak to.
Yes.
And this is so what you pasted was buried in the NDAA. Fab, can you hear me?
And I've actually yes, I've actually copied and pasted most of the report and the minutes of the report.
So is it just a National Defense Authorization Act, or was there something else? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes. That's the one. Yeah, and I've got also the HTTP link, direct to the official government download. But you can actually download the stuff. It's all there.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look at it, and I wish I would know more about it. Then maybe next time we can discuss it more, or you can you always have my email.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to read it. I was more into the conversations.
Just like it is, it's been very busy for you today, for sure. But they do actually mention now, that they are going after the UAP. They're going to try to catch one. That's part of the prerogatives now to.
And that's okay. I will definitely look into the NDAA and give an update.
Bring it down and actually study it. They are
Fab, I'm sorry, your connection is really it's really bad today.
Yeah, it's a bit crappy. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, how about this? I don't know how much you can hear for what I'm saying, but I will read the NDAA and go over it. Thank you for pointing my attention to it, and then to cover it definitely earlier or until next Wednesday. But if what you're saying is true about them wanting to capture it, that would be interesting. That'll be definitely something interesting to look into and read up more to see who I can talk to about it.
It's part of the report. It's part of the report. It says there in black and white. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah. No, I'll look into it. So I wonder if this is I hope it's not the beginning of, UFO threat classification, to start looking at it as more of a threat instead of, because they've always talked about that, sooner or later. I mean, this was known for how long now? For decades, that they want to, turn it more into out of.
Yeah, yes, indeed, yeah. And one thing as well, which is quite important, this is huge, really huge in that report, is they are actually taking into consideration and when you have witnesses, when you've had people that have direct interaction with UAPs, right? And those people have reported some physical or mental ailments or problems because of the interaction with the UAP. So a physical interaction, right? They are going to look into it. They're going to report it, and they're going to basically go into it.
Oh wow, this
is really big.
That is huge. That is huge.
That is so huge. It's unbelievable.
Right. Well, thank you, definitely, Fab. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I will look at it, dissect it, and I'm hoping I can give more information on it.
Yeah, this is huge stuff. I believe also this is something to share. We really need to share this. Right? It has not made the news at all, but it is in the open. It's up to people to pick it up and the good thing with this report as well is.
Okay. All right. Well, Fab, thank you. Yeah, thank you again. And
to language we don't understand.
Fab, I'm sorry your connection is really blurred, and I'm having a hard time hearing you. So I'm sorry. I'm gonna finish up. I'm hoping next time you can get your better connection or mic or somewhere where there's not as echoey, and then because right now with the echo and when you try to come through, it's it's almost like a very bad cell phone connection. And I'm having a hard time, discerning what you're saying. But I understood enough that there's this document I need to look at, and I promise I will. So
we need to share this one. Absolutely, we need to share this.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay, good man.
Well, no, Fab, thank you very much for bringing my attention to this. And yeah, we'll stay in touch. And I definitely want to read it and see what's going on with this thing.
And I have copied on paste, straight from the site, the official government.
Fab, I'm sorry, you're breaking up too much, but listen, thank you. I know you've been up very late. I really appreciate it, and I'm sorry we're having all these difficulties. It's too it's too blurry, too muddy. You'll hear it when you re-listen to this video, what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, I can't understand much more. I'd love to actually, if you could get a better connection and be less echoey your room, that would be great to just have a lengthier conversation. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I'll check it out, see what they've written, what they tried to, or at least not try to, did pass under the radar, and I'll look into that. So everyone, thank you again. Really appreciate all of you basically just hanging around and listening to all the chit-chatting, and I hope you found it entertaining enough, found something worth your while. On Friday at 7 p.m. I'm going to have well, how do you pronounce his name? It's Nolan is the last name, but it's not Gene. I said it earlier. There's a different way you pronounce it. But anyway, he runs the channel called Inspired. And so I'd love to talk to him. And they'll be coming up at 7 on Friday. So hope you tune in there. For the rest of you, thank you all very much for tuning in, wherever you may be. And I'm hoping that you get some rest, because I'm definitely going to go and do that now. So thank you. Until next time, and take care.